Timothy. What's up, Harvey? How you doing, man? It is good to see you. Very good to see you, man. It's very good to see everybody that's here. For whomever is actually here. Still getting my act together here on my end. How's everybody's week? Did you have a wonderful week? Was it as amazing as you hoped it would be? It's funny because when I say stuff like that, it sounds like I'm joking, but I'm really not. Did you have a great week? Hey, Juliana, what's up, girl? Hope you're doing well. Hope you had a good week. Hope Harvey had a good week. I still haven't pulled up the feed on my end, so I'm only going to briefly see your comments here on camera until I can get the feed pulled up here on my computadora. How to be successful. There we are. Hopefully everybody hopefully everybody that got the email can see that this live stream is right here, live and in living color and in your face. Like I said, I hope everybody had a wonderful weekend. Got a handful of people here. We'll give everyone a little bit of time to filter in. Usually takes everyone a couple of minutes. We've got Grace Ava. Am I saying that name properly? And I assume you are a she. Sometimes on YouTube it's hard to tell because men will often use women as their avatars. That was a new thing for me. So you got to remember, man, me and the internet. Hey, Grace, good. I said it right. Excellent. I have been on the internet since before it was the internet. Like, I'm old enough to remember there not being the internet. And then as a very young dude, the kind of the precursor to the internet came around with stuff like CompuServe, and I had Prodigy, and basically everything was just message forums and these kind of community boards you could go into and leave messages. That's what led to message forums. It's ultimately what gave way to things like MySpace and then Facebook. It was just, everyone thinks that MySpace and not MySpace, but Facebook and Twitter and all these things are new conventions, and they're really not. They've been around. The spirit of those systems has been around forever. Twitter was originally designed to be a dispatch software that, Evan, who was Twitter's owner? Jack Dorsey, I think, ended up realizing nobody wanted that product, so he pivoted into Twitter. All of these systems that I talk about so much when I talk with people about like social media marketing and stuff, like I've been in this game since before there was an internet. So I remember what social media was before we started calling it social media, way before MySpace, and honestly way before Google. Like, there was no Google when I first started going on the internet, which is really interesting. But I'm saying that to say, in modern times, like back then, it was pretty easy to understand. Like if you were on AOL Messenger or MSN Messenger, kind of took its place, and then you had IRC or IRQ, I can't remember the chat systems. People often had names that described themselves, unless they were a man posing as a woman in AOL chat for whatever reason. But then in modern times, like when I first started running my own online communities, my own social media platforms years ago, before I just, gave up because Facebook and Twitter and all these places did it much better than I ever could. I remember one of the guys there had a picture of a female. So for, I don't know how long, I was calling him ma'am. And then eventually he was just like, I'm actually a dude. And I'm like, but every picture in your avatar is a female. And then I came to grips with the fact that younger people would use pictures of women they thought were pretty in their avatars. And so you had to get used to, okay, you're actually a dude, but you have a picture of a lady as your avatar. Cool, I need to remember that. And then, like, even in video games where you'd have a female on the battlefield and you'd assume, oh, that's clearly a woman. It's like, no. Like, basically and I read a study, I'm not making this up, because I never would have come up with this on my own, believe me. I was reading a study, I can't remember where it was, but they were saying basically a lot of men play as female avatars because their mindset is, if I have to look at the butt cheeks of a person for 60 hours of a video game, I'd rather them be a lady. And I was like, oh, okay. I wasn't paying too much attention to video game butt cheeks, but that's, if that floats the old boat, then sure. So I say all that to say welcome. And if I call you sir or I call you ma'am, or if I get something wrong, it's not because I'm trying to. It's because I'm not 100% sure on the internet anymore. The younger half of the millennial generation still learning the customs and the culture in this world where men are very much more in touch with their feminine side. By the way, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm not criticizing anybody. I think that's totally fine. So we've got Kylon Moreau is here. Gender fluidity, yes. Yeah, so I had to learn. So now when I'm talking to people on YouTube, I'm very hesitant to say sir or ma'am, because there was one time I was talking to what I thought was a lady, because I think the name was, I'll just make up a name. The name was Nancy Kerrigan. And I was like, yeah, ma'am. And at the end, the dude's like, oh, no, I'm actually a dude. I'm like, why is your name Nancy Kerrigan? And he's like, this is my mom's account. I'm like, look, you gotta announce that. Like, first of all, go get your own account. Secondly, you have to, like, I've been calling you ma'am and miss this entire show. Like, you gotta let people know. Like, if you're gonna be a dude using a lady's account, like, it should be a rule when you log in. Are you a dude that's using a lady's account? Yes. Click. Just so that the host doesn't offend you. Not for any other reason, not to disrupt your privacy. Just because, as a host, I don't want to butcher your name. Hey, Shalom from Texas. Shalom, my friend. Hey, Samuel, how you doing? Just because, as a host, I don't want to butcher your name. And yes, ASL. So Centerland is old enough to know what I'm talking about. Age, sex, location. That used to be how everybody entered message forms. And by the way, that was even years after I got started on the internet, because Prodigy didn't have, well, Prodigy may have had it, but that's more an AOL instant messenger thing, where you go into a chat room. And I remember, it's funny, like, you see bots on YouTube or Facebook now. We had the same thing back in the day on AOL. It was like, and I even had one once where it was a program where you could literally press a button and it would draw a picture. And I thought it was pretty cool. But yeah, it's getting used to the social norms of an internet. That's, the world has changed quite a bit since we got started in this thing. A lot of issues, especially like with sexual preference and gender preference and gender identity, are things that really weren't voiced. This would have been, how many years ago would this have been? 20 some years ago, 25 years ago maybe, when I was a little dude. And these are things that just weren't really talked about or addressed, and if people were hurt or offended, it really wasn't communicated much, because I think at the time it was still a vulnerable place to be, to identify yourself as something that was different from the norm. Whereas now we're moving into a world where people can actually be proud of their beliefs, their sexual preferences, their gender preferences, and how they identify themselves. And I may not even be using the terminology correctly, but it's a very different world. So anyway, I say all that to say welcome. Like I said, just a little humor to get things going. Let's see who all is here, if I may, if that's okay with everyone. Let's see. Bridgeron says, Bryant, did you know that your subscriber count changes every time I open a new video? So this is a mess. Yes. So this is a message I've been getting from multiple people who've told me, hey, Kimberly, how are you? Multiple people have told me, congratulations on 50,000 subscribers. Congratulations on 500,000 subscribers. One person even told me, hey man, congratulations on like 2 million subscribers. I don't know how you did it. I'm like, I'd like to know how I did it too, because I don't have 1 million subscribers. So I have no idea. Like, I've tried to replicate what you all are seeing using my phone, because everyone that said they saw it in the app and not on the desktop. I have no idea what y'all are looking at. I can't find it. It says I have, so this one says, you feel free, Bridgeron, to, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, feel free to DM me a picture of what it is you're seeing, because I can't see it. But here's the deal. The subscriber count, it doesn't matter whatsoever. My goal here is not, so let me be clear about the way I'm going to explain this. My goal is not to get to millions and millions of subscribers. The work that I'm doing here will lead to millions and millions of subscribers. I know it will. It just takes time. That's the way the world works, especially when you create content like I create that's not... So my content is like the comparison between Shenmue, I'm gonna go video game on you. It's the comparison between Shenmue and Grand Theft Auto. Okay? Grand Theft Auto 3 crushed Shenmue, and Shenmue was a commercial failure because it was on the Dreamcast and for a bunch of other reasons. Grand Theft Auto 3 crushed it because it attached itself to people's immediate gratification and guilty pleasure desire. Shenmue was more of a refined, you got to really put in the work and the time, and you have to want to engage. And look, I'm no different than any other human being. I mean, I consume a lot less entertainment than your average bear, but there are times where I don't want to necessarily listen to something that's a very heavy topic. Sometimes I just want to veg out. It's rare compared to the rest of humanity, but I get it. So what I'm doing here is going to lead to, like, I've been telling people for God knows how long, my goal is to reach 1 billion people, and not on YouTube. Let me be clear. Like, YouTube doesn't have to be where I reach 1 billion people. What I'm saying is I'd like, and I will, reach 1 billion people across the world with a message that encourages them in some way to fundamentally impact their life in a positive way. That's it. So subscribers are not a thing that I care about. Like, I care about the people who subscribe, but I don't care about the number. And the number is not the goal. It's like what I tell you all about running a business. So many people are going to tell you the nonsense, and some business owners will even say this, and they're wrong, that the goal of our business or this business or that business is to make money. Wrong. The goal is to create a customer and serve a customer. The result of serving a customer well is money. Sometimes, depending on what it is you do. So for me, my goal is not to get subscriber numbers. It's to reach people and change lives for the better. Even if it's just a small change. I'm not talking about I'm going to necessarily do something grandiose in the life of 1 billion people. But even if I give you that one little thing that got you over the hump or got you through a dark time, like I had a friend of mine email me this week, kid named JD, who just beat brain cancer, y'all. And he sent me an email. It was like, hey, and if you're on my mailing list, you saw it. He sent me an email that says, hey, thank you so much for the content you make. It got me through some of the darker times. That's a win. That's why I'm in this game. So subscriber numbers, and look, I get it. For those of you that are YouTubers, you have been conditioned and programmed and, I won't say brainwashed because I think you're smart and intelligent people who can't just be hypnotized. But YouTube has been shoving, YouTube and all of its experts and everyone else has been shoving this idea of you need to get subscribers, you need to get subscribers, you need to get subscribers down your throat so much for very simple reasons. YouTube prescribes to that because they understand the way their algorithm works means the more subscribers you have, the more watch time you have, which means they can sell ads for more money, more CPM, cost per million or cost per 1,000 views or cost per click when they do ads. So YouTube wants you to have a ton of subscribers because it means more watch time, which means more money for them. Pundits and experts and gurus will tell you you need to get 1 million subscribers as an influencer for a number of reasons. So you can make more money from brand deals, but it also helps them because now they know everybody's looking. Well, subscribers is the answer to everything. And it's just simply not. Okay, especially if your goal is to get some type of catastrophic meteoric success like a PewDiePie. You know, I'm very quick to say that luck oftentimes has very little to do with success, but I wouldn't be silly enough to say, and what most people call luck, I just call the grace of God. There has to be some of that in the mix. But a person like PewDiePie has an extra dose of it, right? To be that quickly successful, yes, he put in the work and he did his thing and he's entertaining to people who like that type of content. But it's not normal. Who else has 50 million followers? Nobody. So obviously it's the exception to the rule. So trying to build your plan around I'm going to be like him and get this success very quickly in under 4 years, and now it's been over 11 years I think since he started. But when he first blew up, it's just not realistic to think that everybody's going to have that type of success. So this subscriber obsession that people have. It's almost exhausting to have to listen to people talking about the subscriber count, because if you don't have a goal bigger than the number that's on your page, then I think you may be in the game for the wrong reason. But yeah, if somebody wants to DM me a shot of that, that's cool. I don't care. I don't look at my subscriber count all that often. I even made a video about that on an older channel that was titled "Stop Worshiping Your Subscriber Count," because what you really should be focused on is, first of all, making dope content, and then making dope content that other people actually want to see. And then you'll have, if you shot a video of you doing open heart surgery, probably a lot of people would watch that, because that's pretty valuable and that's pretty unique. And if you make something dope, people are going to want to watch it. People are going to want to be around for the next thing. So anyway, if someone wants to DM me the number, that's fine. If you want to DM me what you're seeing, because I can't replicate it. But the bottom line point is, don't worry about it. Like, I'm not fudging my numbers. I have nothing to do with what you all are seeing. Frankly, I have no idea why you're seeing it. But there's no, like, I'm not out buying followers or whatever, that nonsense. Like, that's beyond stupid. It's a waste of money, because it's just not going to help you. In fact, it can hurt you in some ways. All right, so what do we got here? Let us check it out. So Juliana says she sees 290,000 subs. Sweet, I'll go with that. I like that number. Daniel Lago says, all right, I'm an ENTJ. Kimberly says, hi, Bryant. Hi, Kimberly. Brendan Cooper says, yeah, I saw it on mobile. Sam Hunter says, just joking with you, Juliana. Okay, he's talking to Juliana. ENTJ women are born to take care of INFP men. True story. I've never heard that story before. Samuel says, Bryant, how is the book by Jen Sincero? Forgot the spelling of her last name. The book, the Badass book. I haven't read this one yet, so that was something I was actually going to talk about today. I actually started with You're a Badass at Making Money first. So I read the opening discussion I was going to have with you before I went on my soapbox. I read 3 books today. All of them very good. Very, very good. In fact, in my marketing program, my Social Media Ninja Academy, and in tonight, I'm actually going to be announcing, not launching, but announcing a program that I'm calling the 69 Pillars of Success, that I'm currently working on. I'm not ready to launch that yet. But it's a program that's really going to take a lot of the things we talk about here on YouTube, but add to it some of the stuff that I've never talked about, add to it a lot of my combat leadership experience, things that I've experienced as a leader in one of the hardest places to lead other people. I tell this story about the night where I had to brief my men on a mission we were going to go on, where I was not 100% sure that all of us were going to come out of it alive. At the end of that story, it ended very happily because we all did, and it was nowhere near as bad as I had originally been briefed that it might be. But the program's really going to hone in on what are the principles of success, and I'm doing it because one of the things that frustrates me in the world, especially in the vlogging and the blogging world, is everyone has 5 tips or 10 tips that are going to make you successful at a thing. It's never 5 things. The reason why they do 5 and 10 things on a blog or a vlog is because they know they only have so much of your attention span, and if they listed everything it was going to take for you to be successful, first of all, it would be way too long for anybody to read it. 2, most people are going to tune that out. Like, it can't be, if it's 69 things, no way am I even going to engage with that. And 3, they just really want the viewership. So 5 and 7 and 10 or 12 sounds cute. But the fact of the matter is, if you want to be successful at anything, like me having a successful, if short, military career, having a successful professional career in Fortune 500, and a lot of the success doesn't come from me. It comes from the people that I had around me, and just me being smart enough to realize I needed to lean on people who were smarter than me. So a lot of the credit for my success early in my career goes to a lot of the men and women that either I worked with, or in some cases I worked for. I used to work for a woman who was a great, and I still would consider her a great mentor to me as a professional, even after having a successful military career where I had been mentored for, if you include my training time, I had been through, I want to say about 9 years of mentorship and learning and growing and leading. But a lot of the principles that I learned there that kept us alive in combat, that other people have done, principles that I've learned, like I tell this story about the pastor of my old church is a friend of mine, but he was also a professional football player. And he played for the Washington Redskins, so I was naturally biased to becoming a friend of his because that's my favorite team. And he and I were talking one night about a frustration I was having at the job I had at the time. And it's the same job you hear me talk about a lot of times on vlogs where I say the first job where I ever made 6 figures and it was a nightmare. And he was kind of just lending me his ear and then giving me some advice. And he told me a story about his first career as a church pastor after he left the NFL. And he just dropped this huge nugget of wisdom on me that I've never forgotten. And I've taken it with me. Like when I assess, like one of the challenges I have is that I've worked in some of the most elite organizations on the planet. And when I come into an organization or I'm helping an organization that just doesn't have it together, sometimes it's hard for me to take people on the journey because I can see all the things that they're doing wrong. Because I've been in operations where I've been in charge of operations where I'm making it work because something's broken, it needs to be fixed, or I'm just in an organization that's a beast and I'm running along with the machine. You come into an organization that doesn't have it together and you're trying to help take them on the journey, and sometimes they're resistant. That job that I told you about, I came in as an underling because I basically wanted to take some time off from Fortune 500. But I saw a lot of problems that the organization had, and I kind of was just lending myself to the people who were in charge because I basically just became a pawn because I was like, let me just take a knee for a while after a military leadership career and after a career in Fortune 500. But it was hard for me to just sit around and watch these people fumble over themselves. So I went to one of the bosses like, hey, I have a background in doing what you guys are doing, but at a much larger scale, not to brag, but I could really help you guys fix some of these issues. And just watching these organizations not understand and then not listen, like because whatever they thought about me, they thought I didn't have experience. I'm like, if you read you've seen my resume, you've seen what I've done. I do, and the pride and the arrogance and the not wanting to admit when they have issues. It just was a very interesting place to be. So I talk about these stories and how to overcome these things and how people like my friend Josh, who really pulled me out, helped me see from. Because I was kind of blinded because I was in the middle of this thing. Like, I'm trying to help this company not suck, basically, is what I was telling them. I was like, this company sucks. Their customers are not well taken care of. It's just, they're horrible. And it's not for lack of trying. They're good people. They just have no idea how to run a company. I said, and I've been running companies since the beginning of my career, and I'm trying to help them. And he gave me a very powerful nugget of wisdom that helped me let it go. So anyway, a lot of that stuff, I'll have pieces in there that won't just be career focused. This is more of a holistic life thing. Like if you notice, my channel isn't just focused on career. We talk about relationships. We talk about self-awareness. We talk about overcoming fear is really one of the main things I want to uproot from all of you, is the fear and the resistance that keeps you from being what God created you to be. And sometimes that fear manifests as parents who are resistant to who you are and what you're working to be. God love them. Parents are trying to do the right thing, but a lot of times they don't have a playbook either. I didn't get a playbook when I had kids. I learned what my parents taught me that was right, and I took notes from the stuff that my parents screwed up, and was like, now I'm a little bit better than they were, hopefully. So these are the things that we're going to work through to ultimately help you build. I talk about the 5 pillars of success in a video here on the channel, but that's really just the 5 pillars of self-awareness. That there's 69 pillars that I'm putting together, and why the number 69 is simple. Science has shown that it takes about 66 days to form new habits, and so each day you're going to go through another lesson, and then I just add 3 for extra credit. Maybe 1 for the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Who knows? But that's something that I'm working on to provide you, and it's going to go much more in depth than what I do like in my daily vlog with the Daily Bravo, or even the personality type videos. It's going to go into a lot of depth. Like the first video is going to be the extended version of that 5 pillars of self-awareness video, which is it's a keynote speech that I give in different places. I just did a leadership conference, was it 2 weeks ago? Was it last week or the week before? I did a keynote speech basically where I take people through the extended version of those 5 pillars of self-awareness and show them how to do each pillar. That talk is also in my marriage program. You guys and ladies have seen my marriage program. Understand that the marriage program too, because some people have hit me up about this. They're like, well, I'm not ready for marriage yet. It's like, no kidding. The program isn't, this is how you go plan a wedding. The program is, here is how you develop as a human being so that when you're ready to be married, you'll know what to do and how to do. And then when you get into the relationship, then we talk. So it's really about preparing people for long-term relationships. So it's a viable program for people of all ages. I mean, just imagine you have somebody every month coming basically into your house virtually to show you how they've built successful relationships throughout their life. And then in this particular case, a relationship with a significant other that he's very happy with, even though I was angry at her earlier because I couldn't find my drill. But you know, that stuff is petty compared to the joy and the happiness that's in the house. So it's really a monthly kind of mentorship program where we're just showing you, my wife and I, going through how you actually, because none of the lessons we have in that system right now are talking really about marriage. We're talking about you. Like, if you're not ready to go into a relationship because you got a lot of baggage and things that you need to work through, you're going to bring that baggage with you and you don't want to. So we talk about how to eliminate the baggage and to replace it with strength and integrity and self-confidence, which comes from competence and knowledge. So anyway, 69 pillars of success is really kind of my answer to, I'm sick and tired of the internet giving you BS answers to things. Like if you saw my Daily Bravo vlog today, my rant about public schools and why they're setting people up for success. And that's nothing new. That's been going on for a very long time. Or sorry, they're setting people up for failure, not success. And it's not, and I'm very clear when I say that I'm not calling out teachers, because I think teachers are God-sent human beings. But they're stuck in a bureaucratic system that just refuses to change, much like our government. So, that's it. I read 3 books today to answer that question that was asked of me. I have not read Jen Cicero's book, Just the Badass Book. I read this one first. This book, surprisingly, her style personally is a little bit, like if you can picture this lady speaking like in hip hop terminology, it was kind of, I don't know what to call it. Corny is what kind of comes to mind a little bit. But I'm corny sometimes too, so I'm not criticizing her. But I say all that to say the information here was really, really good. Like I was surprised because when she first started talking, I'm like, oh Jesus, is she gonna start rapping at some point? Because she's ending sentences with yo, which I do all the time, but I'm not expecting her to do it in a book. But as you go through it and you really hear her heart, I think this book is really, really, really good. The Book of 5 Rings, Miyamoto Musashi, or Musashi Miyamoto. Very good, lots of life principles. Now, this is about martial arts and becoming the world's best swordsman. There's so many life lessons here. In fact, the Daily Bravo is going to cover all 29 of these. I'm going to have an episode dedicated to every one of these things. And so for the better part of, or maybe it's 19 and not 29, but the better part of a month, it's going to be all Musashi stuff that I learned in that book. In my marriage program, my marketing program, and in the 69 pillars, a lot of what I've read in this Arnold Schwarzenegger book, which is so dope. I typically do not like biographies. I'm usually not a fan because storytelling usually gets boring for me. But Arnold's story is so remarkable and interesting and there's so much more to it. Like I grew up with Arnold. Well, actually, I didn't. Arnold got started before I was born. But I still grew up. I grew up when Arnold was at the height of his career, like at his movie career, where he was the man. Like he was in a movie every summer. Just like, as a matter of fact, I can spout some of them off to you here. Like we can talk about some of my favorites. That's his magazine covers and political stuff. I don't care about any of that. Where's the movie stuff? Yeah, like I basically came on the scene when Arnold Schwarzenegger started with the Red Sonja. I was a tiny kid then, and then Commando, and then Predator set it off, and then The Running Man came out, and then Total Recall. Like, those are three of my favorite movies, man, and they're so well done. And that was a good portion of my childhood. And to see that he got started basically in this farm town in Austria, where it's like, how in the world did he make this happen? And he maps out for you in almost 700 pages how he built that success. And some of the programs that I run, I'm going to be teaching in way more detail than I can go into here tonight, because it would take me an hour just to do that. Some of the things that he's laid out in this book that I think are very proper, are very, very potent. And people that are in my programs know that oftentimes I teach from books. So I read these 3 books today. I cheated a little bit. I actually got a head start on Musashi before today. But I brag about I read. Well, I don't brag about it, but I talk about and I encourage people to read. And I read 3 books a week. I hadn't read any books this week, so I read all 3 of them today. And how do I sit down and read 3 books? Very carefully. It takes a lot of attention and focus. Now then, let's get into, that was kind of what I wanted to open up with tonight, to encourage you all to read, to give you some ideas for good books to read. In fact, this book is the one that should be right here. This book right here, son. Jocko Willink, Extreme Ownership, How U.S. Navy SEALs Lead and Win. Hey, Raven, good to see you. You know, a lot of the things that I coach on come from the principles. One of the things I love that he says is that there are no bad teams, only bad leaders. And that has been 100% true everywhere I've been. You know, the Army has a motto that no soldier is untrainable. You know, the real world doesn't live by that. In fact, the real world will promote people beyond their ability level and beyond their character level to lead. And what I find is the real world is pretty decent at churning out managers, not very good at churning out leaders. And depending on the organization you work for. The Fortune 500 company I worked for had some pretty good leadership. It had some challenges, but by and large, it attracted good leaders to it, at least in my experience. I was on one of their higher profile accounts. So I was with kind of the cream of the crop. Like, my mentor was one of the freaking just badass people at the whole, you know, a vice president in the company. So I had the benefit of being with people who were amazing. Not to say that other teams weren't amazing, just to say that I didn't have contact with all the other teams to know. But it's so true that there are no bad teams, there's only bad leaders. And, you know, when I run into, I hate to say bad leaders, but it's the truth, but I usually say underdeveloped leaders. You just have people who get into leadership roles before they're ready. They're just not ready to lead people because they haven't been taught how to do it. Some of us are natural born leaders, but we still have to be taught the mechanics of leadership, right? We may have the philosophy down, or my father taught me so much about leadership just as a child, as one of the military's most prolific leaders ever. But you still have to have practical application that goes along with that. And there's training that needs to be baked into you. Like, even when I started my training and I thought everyone had hyped me up that I was this and all that, I did an exercise where I had a team of people and I was in charge. Basically, I was in charge of running a training event for like over 100 people and bringing them in and making sure everything happened. And I went through the whole thing. I briefed all the senior leaders and took them through as the person who put it together. And here's what we're doing. And sir, blah, 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 blah. We went through the event. Everything was successful. And I got to the end of it thinking I was about to get a high five from my mentors. And I got slammed. They're like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you didn't use any of the help you had. You micromanaged, you were terrible. And I was like, oh, my bad. And that was a lesson. But see, I learned that lesson at 19, 20 years old. You know what I'm saying? I've worked with people who have been working for 20 years before they're ever given a leadership opportunity. And then they just don't know how to do it. They don't know how to navigate the relationships and to build relationships the way leaders have to, and to foster trust with their people. You know, so if you're struggling out there working with people, just understand that people live at the level they're taught. show them a little bit of empathy. You know, a lot of times I have to, as much as people frustrate me at times, I have to deploy a certain level of, but they don't have my experience, they don't have my perspective, my expectations of them, because they're in a position of authority is probably a little bit too high because they just don't have the training I have. So it's not fair for me to expect them to perform the way that I would expect them to perform. And so I give a little mercy there, like, they're annoying the crap out of me, but got to give them the benefit of the doubt. People live at the level they're taught, and if they knew better, they'd do better. So that said, tonight, friends, what do we want to talk about? What would we like to talk about? If you guys and ladies don't have questions, I can certainly continue to talk about these books, about relationships. Brendan says, hey, B, what state are you in? I'm from the Washington, D.C. area, my friend, as can be seen by my hat. See, Juliana says, obscure, what do you mean? Okay, she's talking to someone else. All right, let's... All right, looks like you guys are having a wonderful conversation while I was rapping here. Sam says, Arnold has done a lot in his life. Renaissance man in some ways. Yeah, I 100% agree with that. He's a fascinating person, especially when you start reading his book. Just about, European, like having lived in Europe, he makes a comment about how Europe is not as puritanical as America is, and he's right. Like, I remember being on the Riviera as a child, and you just see naked people. This is how they live. Like, it's not like here we obsess over pornography, nudity, and ooh, it's so tantalizing. There, it's just like, oh, hey, Phyllis, good to see you. Like, you're 8 or 9, and you see naked people, and it's not like, oh my God, let's freak out and have a lust fest. It's a lady at the beach tanning. It's not really that serious. Don't know why this has to be such... Like, we almost make things into issues. And he talks about that in the book. Like, we're not as puritanical. Now, granted, I didn't go to the beach to gawk at naked women. I was 8. Like, I didn't even know what that was. But, like, I remember being in Germany one time and seeing a Korean kid who was reading a newspaper from Korea. And it had a woman with her breasts out. And I thought that was odd, but at a closer glance, because it was a child reading this newspaper, and by child, I mean, he's probably like 12 or 13, and at closer glance at the newspaper, it was a breast cancer examination. Like, it was encouraging people, you need to go get checked. Like, he wasn't gawking over it like, jokes are made about American kids with Victoria's Secret catalogs and stuff. Like, to them, it was like, this isn't a big deal. Like, y'all make a big deal. Like, I think that's why porn is probably so prolific in the United States, because we make such a big deal. There's Colonel Dave Grossman in his book on killing talks about the Victorian age having a lot to do with how prudish we've become and how that's actually harmed us in some ways. You want to be respectful. You don't want to be gawking at people or lusting after people or whatever. But it's a culture that wasn't doing any of that. It was just they're at the beach, people are tanning nude. All right, next thing. Let's keep it moving. So it's very interesting to hear Arnold talk about his life and to have he and I... Oh, here's a real cool thing from the book. This will blow your mind, yo. Just to have had similar experiences to him. This picture right here with him and his wife, right? There is a chance, and it's a small chance, but there is a chance, my friends, that this was the day I met Arnold Schwarzenegger for the first time. Okay, I would have been maybe 2 years old, because my mother had to tell me the story. I don't remember. I've met him twice. I met him as a soldier once, and I met him as a baby. And when I read this caption about he's at the beach with his wife and what was going on, and I was like, dude, this might have been... Right, he was at the beach all the time, so if this was the day, but this was definitely the year. So my mom told me the story. She's like, you met Arnold Schwarzenegger before, because I told her he came to visit us at war. And she's like, well, you met him as a kid too. I was like, no, when was that? And she was like, at the beach when we were living in Hawaii. You walked up to him and just started talking to Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he was joking with you, like, hey, yo, what's up, little man? How are you? Or, how are you, little man? Like, And I was like, you didn't tell me I met Arnold Schwarzenegger. Like, yeah, he was at the beach all the time. And so I like when I read this, I'm like, was this the day I met Arnold Schwarzenegger? Like, that would be so dope. So yeah, I'm name dropping. I've met Arnold Schwarzenegger twice. He's a very fascinating dude, not just in book, but in real life too. The real life portion where I met him and I actually remember the encounter. But yeah, I thought that was really dope, man. But very interesting book. Let's see. Bryant, would you recommend the book How to Win Friends and Influence People? Would I? Stand by. Not only would I recommend it, I would recommend doing exactly what the book recommends, which is reading it twice. The first time, reading it, I can't remember how they say it. I think the first time you're supposed to read every word, and the second time go back through and get the points. One of the beautiful things about this book is they put the things you really need to know at the back of each chapter. And I'm not a big story anecdote guy. There's a ton of anecdotes in the book, so the second time I read it, it was just straight up skimming through the anecdotes and getting to the points. So it was good for me to read it that way. So yes, I would definitely recommend How to Win Friends and Influence People. It's actually on. If you guys are not, I think Raven, you're a moderator. Could you do me a favor? Because Jolly's not here. If you'd be so kind as to when I talk about something on a website or a Facebook page, if you could link it up for me. I'm going to put this link up here because I don't think you'll know this one necessarily. Let me go to my website real quick. Because this is something all of you, if you follow me, should be taking a look at. Because I haven't updated this in a while, but it is something I do plan to keep updated semi-regularly when I have time. If you notice, I uploaded a book review to YouTube. I'm going to start going back to doing more book reviews. So that link there will take you to my book reviews page. So you'll get all the books that I recommend reading, first and foremost, and they're in order. So these are all the books I recommend, and they're in order of what I think is awesome. So you can go through here and pick out, and the pictures are actually taken either from my library or me holding the book, like they're not stock footage from Amazon. But what you can do is you can go through these books, pick out the ones you like, and then you can just click on the order on Amazon button, and it'll take you to our Amazon affiliate page where you can just order the book, which helps contribute to the BryantChambers movement. Again, reaching 1 billion people with positive messages that can change lives. And so if you're ever wondering if I recommend a book, check here first, because you'll see, like, these are the books I know nonsense, and they're in order. Like, this is the order I would read all of these books in if I hadn't already, because I obviously didn't read them in this order. But these are books that I would certainly, like, I think the first book I've read on this entire list was Think and Grow Rich. Out of all these books was the first one I read. Yeah, that's definitely right. But I'm going to be adding a lot more books. Like, I just read this trilogy of books that's freaking amazing. I've been telling everyone in our Social Media Ninja Academy that it's mandatory. Like, if I could make reading mandatory in a program, I would do that. But you can come here, and so there's two things. You can click on the link, which will take you to my video review, which is usually either on Instagram. I'm going to start doing them on YouTube again. And then you can click on order on Amazon, grab the book. Smooth and easy, plain and simple. So, yeah. That said, Daniel Lagos says, thank you so much, Brian. This is very useful to me. Influence and patience are so needed when you're in a leadership position. Thanks for sharing this book titles for us. I'll do my reading from now on. Sweet. Nathaniel Mercaldo says, at BryantChambers, wow, thanks, incredible resource. Yeah, and so I haven't updated that since before my dad passed. You know, my dad passing has really cut into a lot of my activity, where thankfully a lot of what you see on YouTube is pre-recorded. So I had weeks in advance done to where I didn't have to do a whole lot of recording. But it really cut into my ability to split time between my family and how much I had to do with just like, you do not understand how much work a family member dying is. Put aside the grief and the struggle and the sadness, and then going to the funeral home for 5 hours and making arrangements and picking out coffins. Like, it's a hustle. and top that off with you have children of your own. You have a business where you have a product side of the business, but you also have a client side of the business. So I have people that are paying me money for my services. So I got to get out there and render those services, So like I have a meeting on Monday with a lot of local clients to help them, and I've promised them that I'm going to help them build their social media profile and understand how to approach it and how to use social media. Like a lot of people don't know that the reason why I don't harp on subscribers is because my channels, even when they were small, were guaranteed to make hundreds, if not thousands of dollars every month with, my little podunk number of subscribers. So why am I going to break my neck trying to put out content that I don't want to put out to game the growth algorithm, to game growth through, game the algorithm to get growth, when I'm like, the money's coming in, I'm cool. And YouTube wasn't my primary source of income anyway, so it was like, I'm good. I'll just keep serving people and making dope content that I think is dope, and hopefully other people will catch on and think it's dope too. So it's going into businesses and showing them how to use social media properly to do that, so they're not falling into these traps. Like one of the things I hate about Instagram and Twitter, for example, is the bot game. Like I can look at your profile and tell you either bought all these followers, which I'm not against. For them, I'm not going to do it, or you're just botting. Like there's books written literally on how to bot on Instagram, which, by the way, friends, that's against Instagram's terms of service. But people have and I've been in marketing programs where they teach it, and they give a disclaimer in the beginning that your account could be messed with if you do this, but it's a way to get growth. But it also lacks empathy and authenticity. So you mean you want me to go follow a bunch of people that I have no interest in the hopes that they're going to follow me, and then as soon as they do, I'm going to unfollow them? Like this, why? Like just grow more slowly. What do I have to gain? Like I'm never going to walk into a client's office and they're going to be like, well, why do you only have 200 followers? Well, because look at my niche and look at the fact that I'm not gaming the system. But regardless of my followers, all of my sales in my product side of the house, all of my sales come from social media, not from my website, very little through email marketing. It comes through social media. So clearly I have figured out how to bring money in without having to have millions of people follow me. Like I sent a proposal to Gold's Gym, not a proposal, I sent an audit to Gold's Gym. It was like, hey, fellas, ladies, no. There's no reason why some stank private marketing company that works out of his house has more followers than you and more engagement than you do. And I showed them some things that they could have done early on. Like, you're an international brand. There's no excuse for you not to have more followers, because you should. Or even in places where they do have a lot of followers, they don't have a ton of engagement. So it's just showing people how to come in and get results. And when you can do that, that ends up being very valuable to people. But anyway, that to be said, there's people that I've had to serve, and I have a meeting with local businesses where I'm really going to walk them through understanding their business so that I can advise them. Recently, I got the chance to work with, and I've been waiting for this day, I got the chance to work with a video game company, and one that's very, very interesting, that I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys once we kind of get the ball rolling a little bit more and they're ready to announce some of the stuff they're doing. Actually, I work with 2 video game companies. I prepped one gaming company, which I think was like an army of 3, this development company. Before they were going to E3 to win an award. And so it was funny, me and the owner of the company I was at a carnival with my kids, and while they were having a sword fight, he had emailed me. He's like, hey man, I'm getting ready to get on a plane. What do I need to do? I'm like, you need to do that. I was typing in, like, on my phone, typing a 10-paragraph email of all the stuff he needed to do to get his marketing squared away. So it's fun. Like, I'm finally getting to work with gaming companies, which is something I've wanted to do. It's not necessarily easy to break into, because you either have really big companies that have marketing armies that sometimes don't know exactly what they're doing, and you can't just come into a big company and start telling them, fix this, fix this, fix this, because there's politics. Or it's a small company that can't afford your services. As much as I'd love to give my services out for free to everybody, it's just not. One, it's not good for me, obviously, but and here's a tip for those of you who may get into sales at some point, or selling your own products, running your own business. It's not a good idea to give all of your stuff away for free. Not just for your sake, but for the sake of your customers. Like, I'm very careful. There have been times where, for example, I've given free access to my Social Media Ninja Academy at different levels to different people. But I'm very careful to do that, because one thing you will notice, and it's happened every time, the one thing you'll notice if you ever start selling a product or a service, the person you give it away to for free is never going to respect it as much as the person that had to pay full price. Because the minute they see free, they think it lacks value. Like, for example, in my social media marketing program, I announced actually on the 4th of July that I'm raising the price of our VIP program. And that's our monthly program where I come on coaching calls like this, except I'm not on YouTube doing it. We're on a Google Hangout is the way we do it. And we get 10 people together and we actually have a conversation. Usually goes about 3 hours, maybe 4. And they're asking questions. I'm doing channel reviews, taking people through their channels and the things they need to fix. And I just announced to everybody, I'm like, look, if you're not in this VIP program and you want to be in it, do it now, because I'm about to raise the price. Why? Because it's fair. Because the amount of value that I pack into that thing is more value than any other program. There's one other program that rivals mine, and it's my mentor that does it. Right? So, and by rival, I mean with the amount of content he puts in for the price. I'm not saying rival like better or worse than what, I'm just saying what you pay and then what you get. I remember I went through his program, like the first lesson. I'm like, dude, I'd have paid it. If I hadn't already known that, that was worth the price of entry. So for me, I've always kept the prices really low because I've always understood my market started as kind of gamers and solo entrepreneurs who are just trying to grind, who didn't have a lot of money. But it's not fair to continue giving out that much value basically for nothing. But it's also not fair to you or the people that you're going to sell to eventually, because they're not going to value it. If somebody pays, because there's programs I've been in where I've had to pay $100 a month for coaching, right? You better believe I showed up to every lesson, watched every single one, because I'm paying this cat. Not only did I pay whatever I paid to get into the program, now it's on top of that $100 a month, right? So I was at every lesson. I took notes, because I'm like, if I'm paying, like when you go to college, if you have to pay for your own college, you know what I'm talking about. You're going to go to class and get it right, because you just spent all this money. There's no way. It's basically the difference between if your parents bought you a PlayStation 4 or if you cut grass all summer and you went and bought a PlayStation 4. You're going to be way more protective of the PlayStation 4 if you cut the grass and paid for it. And so what I'm trying to instill in people is, one, I want the price to be fair for me and my team, but I also want it to instill a sense of urgency and a sense of importance in the people that join. That, one, they know what they're getting into. If I have the audacity to charge whatever I charge, then they're like, well, then their expectation coming in is this better be good, and then they get there and they're like, holy crap, this is better than I thought. I'm learning things. Like I've had a kid come through who used what he learned in the program to go get his dream job. He's like, everything you taught me was so beyond YouTube and social media. Like, this is life stuff. I said, of course, because what I give you is way more than just this is how the algorithm works and watch time, blah. Here's how you set up your account. Like, I don't even have a video on how to set up your account, because I figure if you don't know how to set up an account, one of two things is at play. One, I don't want you as my customer. Or two, you're just going to pay me to do it for you, because I'm not going to take the time. Like, no, if you're a client that doesn't even know how to set the account up, like, just give me the money and I'll set up everything for you. Because the only reason you don't know isn't because you're not smart, is because your time is being spent doing more important things. And as a business owner, I want you focused on the important stuff, not learning how to set up a YouTube account, for God's sake. So let's see. Nathaniel says, giving away free product to a negative. I have encountered this issue in the software space often. Makes you have to do things like implementation of paid friends. Yeah, exactly right. So and I've seen this happen, and one of my mentors taught me this a long time ago. And when he said it, I was kind of but I want people to get access to it. And I didn't believe him until I did it myself. And I do giveaways because I understand what it means to be, you know, you don't have $1,000 just sitting around to give to some guru to help you. But he had always taught me, he's like, if you give it away, they're not going to respect it. And almost every time, and so I'm very selective now when I do giveaways. I give them away to people who I know will put in the work, or I've already seen them put in the work, so I don't mind helping them out because I know they're not lazy. But I lie to you not. I can't even get people, because I'm looking at who's watching the videos, and the people I give the stuff for free to, half the time don't even watch the videos. Like, I just gave you access to, literally, you came to me and said you're struggling and you want growth and blah, 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 blah. I'm like, okay, well, here's free access to the beginner level. Get it in. And they never watched a single video. Whereas the people who pay full price are sending me emails saying, yo, B, I can't believe you charge this little for it. You see what I'm saying? So to give it away for free to everybody is to do them a disservice. And if my business is to impact lives in a positive way, I can't do something that's going to harm. Like, a friend of mine is a coach as well. You'll see him on videos in the future, I'm sure. And he's been on a video or two here on the channel if you've been around from the beginning. It's one of my business partners, and he was talking about this coaching client he had, and they were trying to give him something back. And he's like, no, I'm going to do it. I said, no, dude. If they're offering you something, you take it. And here's why. You're limiting their blessing. I said, we live in a world of sowing and reaping, right? And whether you're a biblical person or not, you believe if you plant a tree, you're going to get a tree. I said, this person wants to sow a seed, whether it's effort or it's money. You need to let them, because you're holding up their fruit. You're holding up them being able to plant a seed by not allowing them to take action. If they want to help you with your website, whatever it is they want to help you, let them help, because that's going to make them feel a part of what you're doing, and you're not taking advantage of them. They ask to help you. And so if you're a biblical person like me, I told him, because he's a deacon in a church, I said, look, homie, you're holding up her blessing. It says we sow and then we reap 30, 60, and 100-fold. You're not allowing her to sow a seed. You're not allowing her to plant a seed spiritually that she can reap and get more of a blessing from God down the road. I said, you gotta let her do it. The principle works with money, with business, doesn't matter. You can be an atheist. The principle of sowing and reaping is universal. So anyway, you definitely have to be careful. That's why I don't do giveaways every day. Like, here's the next 100 people. And here's the other thing too. I did a giveaway to 900 people because I just wanted to test it. I did a giveaway of the white belt for my Social Media Ninja Academy for the YouTube program, right? So we have the YouTube program. I'm building the Facebook program right now. I'm not sure if I'm gonna do an Instagram one or not. I will probably do one for Reddit, or I may integrate Reddit into the other ones. But Reddit's the best kept secret, guys. Like, nobody talks about Reddit in social media, and I'm about to get serious about that here in the future. But I was like, let me just test the system. So I shipped it out. It was 911 people got that email that says, here's your free access. All you have to do is go to Facebook, send me a message telling me, follow my page. I mean, be cool, like my page. It's the least you can do, right? And if you don't want to like my page, fine. You don't have to. It's cool. Like my page, then send me a message just so I can message you back, so I know you're liking my page as one of the people who wants the program. Send me a message, and I'll message you back with a link that'll give you the stuff for free. 911 people I sent that to. You want to take a guess in the comments how many people responded? Some of you know. If you already know, again, some of you here are some of the respondees. Raven, for example. If you don't know, take a guess in the comments. How many people do you think, not open the email, how many people do you think came to my Facebook page, liked it, and then sent me a message to join? Go ahead, comment it up. I'll start reading comments people have been leaving while you guys and ladies do that. Sam says, Bryant, would you have any suggestions to putting together a men's themed self-development support group? You know, Iron sharpens iron. Yes, my business partner Tony and I have something like that in the works. It's not it. It's we're not ready to do it because we've got a bunch of other irons in the fire. But yeah, like basically, he and I want to replace church, as you know it today. Like what people think of as church, we are going to become the new version of that. And because for people for years have been telling me, like, dude, if you pastor the church, like there are people that don't even believe in God. They're like, but if you pastor the church, I'd come. Pastor, whatever the word is. They were like, if you were in charge of a church, I would come. So we want to replace what people think about church with legit development programs like that. So stay tuned, Sam. That's coming. Don't know when yet, but it is coming. He and I talk every time we get together. He's like, B, we've got to hurry up and finish building these other businesses to their optimal level so we can focus on these other things. I was like, I know, bro. I know. Just a couple more days, we'll get there. All right, so let's look at some of these other comments. So Raven says it shocks her that people are not jumping on board. You know what? It doesn't shock me. I'm going to do, you guys, the cool thing about coming on the live calls is you get to hear a lot of the stuff that I'm going to say in future episodes. And you get a little taste of what I do in my programs as well that I don't necessarily do in my 8-minute vlogs. But it doesn't surprise me because here's the deal. I'm going to do a video and I'll just give you the premise of it here. I'm going to be doing a video in the future called There's No Such Thing as I Can't Afford It. Basically, the idea there is anybody can afford anything they want bad enough. The challenge is either you don't want the thing bad enough to do what you have to do to go get the money, or you don't trust that the thing that's being sold to you is going to have the effect that you want it to have, so you don't want to put your money in it. When anybody ever says they can't afford something, they're lying. Because if your life depended on it, you would beg, borrow, steal, whatever you had to do, and maybe not steal, but you would do whatever was necessary to get in there. So the issue isn't that you can't afford it, it's that you don't trust it's going to do what you want it to do, so you don't want to deploy your money. And that's fair. That's actually okay. I think it's okay to say, you know what, I had a program that someone wanted to sell me once. I think it was $32,000 to get into this coaching program. And I was just like, I don't know you guys well enough to trust that I'm going to get the results for 32 G's. You know, and they show you all the people who've been successful. What they don't show you is the people maybe who aren't. You know, I tell people all the time, there are people who come through my programs who don't necessarily right away see the success that they want. And I'm honest about that, because what it comes down to is you still have to put in the work. Like, I can call the plays and give you the playbook, but you got to get out there and do the work. And sometimes I have people that come through my programs that disagree with what I'm saying, and they continue going down a road that, you know, in a lot of ways, I've already been down the road, and I can tell you, like, I've been there, my friends. Okay. But sometimes you got to let people learn on their own. And then you get people that come in, they spend 2 months just going through the content and be like, oh, yeah, next, where do I sign? And then boom, 10,000 subscribers a month start coming in. Imagine that. You know, and it doesn't hurt, you know, just so that you understand that that's not normal for a person that comes through any program. Understand that the content that they were making had a lot of virality. It was very heavily sought after by a young audience, so that's usually a good thing. You know, there's not too many 13 to 17-year-olds looking for information on ENTJs. There are some, but not by the millions. So it doesn't surprise me when people don't jump on board, because at the end of the day, anyone will make an excuse. They can't afford it. They can't do it. Like, if I knew that I was going to give that person $32,000, and at the end of 6 months, I would turn that $32,000 into 7 figures, right? I'd turn that $32,000 into $1 million plus. I'd go borrow money from everybody I knew if I didn't have it and be like, here. But the reason why you won't go do that is because you don't believe it's going to have, most people don't believe it's going to have the results. And so what I basically pack my programs full of is life success principles, not, here's 3 things you need to know about YouTube's algorithm, or here's 2 things you need to know about Facebook's new algorithm, because they used to use something called EdgeRank. If you've read Gary Vee's book, it's not the same anymore. You know, you got to stay up on that stuff. And I do teach that stuff, but I'm teaching more what are the 7 principles as identified by evolutionary psychology that teach you how to build brand insistence. Now, brand insistence can work if you're a YouTuber, if you own a business, if you're trying to get a job, or if you're trying to get married. Like, it's the same thing. You're always selling. Now, you're not always selling something for money. Maybe you're selling for attention, or you're selling love for love. Like, I'm going to give love because I want to love this person, but I'm also hoping that that love gets reciprocated. You know, we put a negative connotation around the word sell or sales, and it just doesn't have to be that way. Sales is perfectly fine as long as both parties win. As long as the person handing the money to the company wins and the company wins, who cares if it's a sale? Where sales get stupid is when you sell someone a broken car stereo, Sony, and you press the button and it shoots across the car twice. 2 Sony stereos I bought that shot buttons out at my face. You know, so anyway. So I say all that to say it does not surprise me. I've been in the game long enough to know it's always a small percentage of the people that you reach that actually convert into people that want to do business with you, because you have to build that trust. And some people aren't going to like you. Some people aren't going to trust you. It's just the way it is. You know, and different people look for different things. Okay. Let's see. What else are people saying? So Ingrid said 100. Pascal said 64 and said no wait 134. Actually, Pascal had a lot of numbers. Raven said 12. Pascal had like 13 guesses. What are you doing, Pascal? All right. So Ingrid says 100. Juliana says, I don't know what you weirdos are talking about. Maggie Mosby says, hey, BC, how can you beat the school system? Still learn things you like and are good at while in school. So I would say you're not necessarily trying to beat the school system. What you need to do is just realize the truth. And that's that the school system isn't going to give you everything you need. Okay, and in some cases, you're going to have to go outside of school to learn the things that you want to do. School never taught me anything about sales. So what did I do? I went and paid guys to teach me how to do it. Now one of them's my mentor, and I don't even pay him. As a matter of fact, I never paid him. He became my mentor through another program that I had paid for. And he sits with me, he meets with me, is like, hey, do this, do this, do this. You know, sometimes he'll tear my stuff up in a good way, help me build it better. You know, and there's people that I pay. I have several coaches that I pay, and I go to seminars that they do, or I do stuff online with them, and they teach me all kinds of stuff. Like when I first started my Social Media Ninja Academy, the pricing was what it was, and I had read books like Smart Pricing, which you can't see, it's off camera right now, and I thought I was a genius. And I went to a seminar with one of my coaches, and he was like, dude, what are you doing? It needs to be this price because blah, blah, blah. I went out in the lobby and immediately changed the price of my program. So realize that you're going to have to supplement your education through other means, whether it's mentors, whether it's programs like the ones that I'm talking about, ones that I paid for, or even ones that I sell. It's books. I mean, the reason why I got all these books on my shelf back here is not so I can look smart on camera, because please, I'm not trying to look smart, because frankly, I'm smart enough to know that I'm dumb enough to need to read every one of these books twice, right? So I'm not trying to purport myself as some highly intelligent person. But books, mentors, and even paid courses that teach you the things that you really need to know for whatever it is that you're interested in. And it may just be that the thing you want to do is not really going to be given to you through school. You know, like I went to school in college for computer science. Most of what I've learned about computer science outside of the logic equation, like the one thing college was actually good for me as a computer scientist, was teaching me how to apply logic to programming problems and understanding the concepts of how databases and how the hardware inside your machine works and the processors and et cetera, et cetera. But by and large, most of what I do came from self-study. So really need to supplement. Like if you ever, for example, wanted to join the special forces in the army, right? You'd be in the army. Let's say you're not going to start off in the special forces, but you start off in the army. You realize I want to do something more. So one of the things you're going to have to do is get in prime physical condition. But here's the problem: your job in the army, even though part of it is working out, it's not going to be enough to prep you to go be in the special forces. You're going to have to do work outside of the work the army is giving you to do, right? So you've got to train. Like after work, you got to go run some more or lift weights, right? Or swim. You're going to have to do all of these different things that work. You may run a couple of miles, do some push-ups and sit-ups, and that's it. But to be in the special forces, you got to be able to lift up 1,000-pound logs in selection with 10 other buddies of yours, and you're going to have to put in more work to be able to do that. And so the same thing goes with your education: is really start to self-educate as much as you can. Get books on the things you're interested in from people that have been successful, or at least people that know what they're talking about, right? And so you want to do that. You want to get mentors, people that are already doing what you'd like to do, and offer them some free help. Like, I'll manage your Twitter page if you teach me how to do X, or I'll manage your Facebook account for free if you teach me how to do X. One of my mentors, I offered him, he won't let me do free work for him. I'm like, I will do free marketing for your company. He's like, I don't need it. It's fine. Just be cool. So that, and then paying for it. Like, don't be afraid. Never be afraid to spend money on something that's going to bring you knowledge and eventually bring money back to you if you apply the knowledge. That's the thing what I was talking about with Raven earlier. That's the part that baffles me, is people will spend $500 on an Uncharted 4 PlayStation 4 bundle at launch and then say, oh, but I'm broke and I can't join. It doesn't have to be my program, but you can use my program as that. Oh, I don't have $500 to get into your Blue Belt program. All right, so let me get this straight. Like, you have $500. Like, by the way, if you'd have just waited 6 months, like, this is a lesson I've been trying to teach my son. If you'd have waited 6 months, that bundle would have been on sale somewhere for probably, in some cases, half the price. But you're not going to spend the money on a thing that when you get this knowledge, it's going to impact your life such that now you can forget about YouTube or social media. Like, it's going to give you information into your brain that allows you to perform better in your life. Like, that's the part that gets me, is you'll pay for luxury and entertainment, you'll pay for liabilities, but you won't invest into your brain. Like, what? And it's because we've been conditioned by our school system that education should be free. And while I'd argue that a lot of education should be free, the way we're doing free education is not smart, right? So don't be afraid to, when somebody offers you a course, again, you have to be able to afford it too. Like, if you're 14 years old and you have no money, then sure, don't worry about that. Read the books, get the mentors until you have a job and whatever, you can afford that. Or if you have parents that are agreeable to something like that. But by and large, always be willing to invest money in getting, and part of mentorship and programs is also books. I spend more money on books than I ever spend on video games these days. That wasn't always true, but yeah. Like, I did a video that's coming out next week or the week after with my son. I'd taken him to GameStop. I tried to talk him out of getting Breath of the Wild for the Wii U and just wait till from his business he could save up enough money to buy a Nintendo Switch. And he refused to listen to me. So sometimes you got to let him learn the lesson. Like, okay, you want to deploy your dollars into an inferior product, that's fine. Rock on. You want the immediate pleasure. You don't want to wait 6 months to get real pleasure. That's cool. I went to Target and bought a bunch of books. And so we're doing this daily haul video where he's like, I got Breath of the Wild. I'm like, yeah, but I got freaking Jen Sincero and all these other books that I bought. There was one other book, the Kevin Hart book that's up there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's. I don't think you're trying to beat the school system. You just need to realize that the school system is what it is. It was designed many moons ago, first to indoctrinate people with American values, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. That's why you say the Pledge of Allegiance. And then two, and more importantly, it was centered around preparing people to work in factories. America has evolved, if you haven't noticed, not a whole lot of factory work going on as compared to the Industrial Revolution, right? Schools didn't evolve with it. So, and in some ways they have. I know I'm kind of hard on schools. I don't mean to be. My personality type has a great deal of impatience for people that resist change when change needs to happen. Not change for the sake of change, but like, dog, we're doing this wrong. Like, how about not one size fits all school? Because that's stupid. Right? Like, I'm not going to mentor my son to try to be in the NBA if he grows up to be 4'11". Like, if I'm an NBA basketball player, I'm just, oh, you're going to be NBA basketball? But Dad, I'm 4'11". Nope, let's get out there on the court. You're going to learn. Like, no, you're going to be an artist or something else. Maybe you're going to be a horse jockey. Teach you how to ride an equestrian. You can get out there and race horses. You know what I mean? So that's the deal. Let's see. Hopefully that was a decent answer. Oh, and by the way, all of your guesses were kind of all over the map. The answer was 26. 26 people responded out of 911. And the email was literally, this program I've been talking about for the last forever in all my emails, I'm going to give it to you completely for free. No strings attached. Well, the string attached was you had to hit me up on Facebook, but how hard is that? Right? And 26 people responded. And you know why? It wasn't because 900 people didn't get the email, because I saw how many people opened the email, right? It was literally because I had people hit me up on Twitter because I sent a Twitter message out that says, I just offered a free program to 911 people and only 26 people took it. And one of the people who was on my mailing list follows me on Twitter was like, I will never ignore another one of your emails. I thought it was just a scam. I said, now, first of all, how long have you freaking known me? You think I'm going to do a dang scam? Are you kidding me? I got a wife and kids. First of all, I don't have time to be doing scams. Secondly, if you do a scam, that's not going to work in the end. It's like, yeah, just everyone in email always wants something from you. I'm like, not me. I was trying to give something to you. Like, especially with Americans. Americans are way more cynical than most other cultures. Because we have it so good. Unfortunately, I did an article years ago on a blog that I wrote called Encumbered by Our Convenience. And then I changed it to Encumbered by Our Prosperity. Like, we have it so good that we make up things to be angry about. So it was 26 people out of 911. But here's the real reason why only 26 people responded. Because it was freaking free. Nobody thought it was valuable. Like, well, if he's going to give it away for free, then why am I even bothering? It can't be good. I'm like, okay, sure. So, but it was just a test. I had learned long before that from my mentor and from experience that when you give things away for free, people don't appreciate them. If you bought tickets to the Lakers game, you're going to go with a lot more enthusiasm than if someone just gave them to you. It's just the way the mind works. It's just human nature. Maggie says, hey, BC. That's the same question from earlier. We're good there. Sam says, Bryant, what suggestions would you have for introverts as far as entrepreneurial ventures, businesses, especially INFPs? So INFPs, introverted feeling, extroverted intuition, which means, here's the deal. As an INFP, you can actually handle, in fact, I think INFPs especially could benefit from being entrepreneurs. The problem with INFPs is your lack of focus. If you're an entrepreneur, you're going to start something potentially, and then as soon as that gets boring, you're going to jump to another idea. Or more importantly, you're going to start something and then realize, wow, this takes a long time to get successful. Let me go try this other thing because this one isn't working. And then that one doesn't work right away. And so you won't stick with something long enough for it to come to fruition. And I have experience with that in my own life, even as an ENTJ. But my advice is, if you don't like social, if you don't like being in front of people like this, if you're not okay like and I'm not sure what your business is going to be, so take my advice with a grain of salt. If you're not comfortable doing the social aspects of being an entrepreneur, then I would bring on a partner who is. I'd say potentially someone that's extroverted, but you don't need to be extroverted to be good at social. You just don't. Like, I am highly extroverted, and believe it or not, I'm not great at being social in situations where I'm not leading. You know, like when I give a keynote speech, that's easy. Like, I just got to get up in front of people and talk. Cool, I love doing that because I have control of the floor. Like the example I used to always give was as a musician. I hated being in clubs unless I was the band performing. I hated it. I hated those environments. They're loud. People don't put on deodorant. It's just like, oh, this is the most not way I want to socialize. Because what are you going to talk to somebody about in a dark, loud place? We're not going to have some deeper philosophical discussion about existence and Star Trek. We're going to talk about, what's your favorite color? Yeah, mine too. Party, dude. Like, so I brought in Tony, who's amazing in social. My wife as well. My wife actually helps me get clients because she's a lot more social, and I'm outgoing in that if I'm around people, it's clear that I'm an extrovert, but I'm not a dude who sits at home like, ooh, what are we going to do this weekend to go out and be on the town? Like, I'm like, dog, nope. Rather read a book. So that'd be my advice. If you're not comfortable with the social aspects, get somebody that is. And if you can't focus, make sure they're good at keeping you focused as well. That would be my advice, Sam. So by the way, I just had this whole tirade about me raising the price of my VIP program. Let me just back up for a second and say, I have the tab open tonight because I pushed, like, I announced it on the 4th. I'm like, nobody's gonna see this. And I was like, let me give it a couple more days before I do it. I actually am planning before I go to bed tonight to do up the price. So if anybody wants to get into the Social Media Ninja Academy and you want to get the VIP program for half of what it's going to cost tomorrow morning, we need to talk before this show is over tonight so that I can get you hooked up. If you're not interested, don't worry about it. But if you are and you don't want to pay almost double, it's not quite double, but it's almost double what people are paying for it right now, and it's actually, from when we started it, it's 5 times more and getting ready to go up to 8 times more than what the original price was. You know, so I start things off very cheap and then I make it fair. Like, I make it totally unfair, and this is kind of a business lesson for you guys too. When I start with a product, I make the sale of it completely unfair for me, because what that helps me do is it gets the early responders, like the early folks that are like, yeah, I'm excited, and wow, it's so cheap, because those people are usually folks that don't have to worry about not taking advantage of it because they're early adopters. You know, and then I slowly make it fair for me. And that's what I've been doing over the last almost 2 years, is just slowly like, okay, you guys keep playing around. The price is eventually going to be what it should be. Don't drag your feet. But let's get back to the chat here. See, it looks like Raven gave Maggie some advice. Excellent. Hopefully Maggie got the answer she was looking for. So Sam says, Bryant, is the program you're mentioning applicable to things like blogging or coaching? I'm not sure if you saw my earlier question. I didn't. Thank you. But any suggestions? Oh, yeah, I did see there. So my program, the Social Media Ninja Academy, right now, the primary focus has been on YouTube. I'm building a Facebook program. The principles, especially in the green belt, apply to vlogging. In fact, when I go into the search engine, or blogging rather, the search engine optimization discussion, I start by discussing Google, and then I transition it over into YouTube, because Google's search algorithm is quite a bit more advanced than what YouTube's is. It's smarter than YouTube, and Google is the master of iterations. So they start something and then they slowly build it. YouTube is a bit behind Google. So yeah, a lot of what's in there will apply to a blog. Just know most of what you're going to consume, and part of that depends on what belt you get into. Like if you get into the white belt, yeah, it'll totally help you with a blog, even though it's focused on YouTube. The white belt is talking about, okay, what is your strategy as whatever you are? Okay, sweet. Now that you have a strategy, let's talk about what vertical you're going to play in. Entertainment, education, blah, 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 blah. Now what niche? So I'm in education. I'm also a little bit of edutainment. Do some gaming reviews here and there. I document my life in a vlog that's designed to educate, but more to make it interesting. I want people watching what I'm doing as much as they're listening to what I'm saying, so you can see I'm putting action to it. And you're walking through things. How do you develop that? Because what most people struggle with on YouTube is they have all the creative energy and they have all the I'm fired up to get this thing going, but they have no direction. So the white belt's going to take care of that. Like, just imagine you're going to get a crash course that's, I think the white belt is how many hours of content? I can't remember. Like, the whole program itself is over 50 hours. But the white belt is several hours of just, it teaches you things like even what camera to buy and why you shouldn't worry so heavily about what camera to buy. But here's a couple that you should consider depending on what you're creating. Here's how to do some of the practical things. Here's how to write the plan. So totally would apply to a blog. It's just formatted for YouTube, but you take those principles and then just apply them to your blog. Especially in the green belt, we talk very much about SEO and the YouTube and Google algorithms. And I think for like 0.8 seconds on Bing, but it's just me saying I'm not going to get into how Bing and Yahoo work because you don't really need to know that. I mean, that's like Jedi level SEO stuff where it's freaking Coke and Pepsi competing and you're trying to edge one another out. Like, that's not something you ever really need to worry about. And then the blue belt, which is one of the most important components, I'd say, if not the most standard belt component, because the blue belt focuses on developing you as a creator, right? We take a personality test in the beginning. I tell you what that personality test kind of predisposes you to, which is open for scrutiny and your own discretion because obviously everybody's different. But then we talk about how to be compelling, which is one of the books I teach out of here. What makes you compelling? What are the things that make people want to be attracted to what you're doing? What's happening on YouTube right now that you need to be aware of? I'm getting ready to release the 5 pillars of self-awareness, the keynote that I gave. I'm getting ready to release that to the blue belt folks in the program. And it's going to teach you in detail, here are the 5 pillars of self-awareness that you have to know if you want to succeed at anything. And then so on. So the black belt is really focused on people that want to run a business. So it may be beneficial to you, but it's also not cheap. Although it's probably 10 times cheaper than I could charge for it. In fact, when I sell things like that to companies who have money, typically I sell it for a lot more, $5,000 to $10,000. But for an individual who I know is not just going to have $10,000 lying around, it's 10 times cheaper than that. But still, for most people, not cheap. So you kind of have to weigh where you're going to get the most bang for your buck. And I always say the gold belt, which is the VIP program, which it stands alone from the hours and hours of content, because the gold belt happens live on live calls. It's a monthly program and has a monthly fee associated with it. But that's where every month I'm coming into your home to talk to you and up to 9 other people who are in the program about, I do a channel review where I break somebody's channel completely down and help them rebuild it back up properly. And then usually I have topics or books that I'm teaching out of, kind of like textbooks. And then it's just Q&A, like what we do here, but for hours. And you get to actually talk to me, not have to write a thing out and then get kind of a jumbled answer. Not a jumbled answer, but an incomplete answer, because you can't obviously type out a 4-page question. But on the live calls, you can ask a 4-page question. So could it help a blogger? 100%. You just have to take what we're talking about in the YouTube space and translate that into, But I also, in the black belt, have a how to build a website piece, which needs a little tweaking. I need to do a second one, because that's really, if no one's ever built a website before, it's going to be somewhat like, oh, that's a lot to take in. But there's a lot of good stuff in there. Now, let's get back. Hopefully that helped you out, Sam. John Bernard says, what program was this you gave away? I'm not on your email list. Maybe I should be. It was a portion of my Social Media Ninja Academy, and yes, you should be on the mailing list. Abel says, or Abel, what's the perfect business partner for an INFP brain? I don't believe in perfect. One, I don't know you well, so some of the unique tidbits of your personality I may not be able to pinpoint. as an INFP, just know your strengths and weaknesses. Here's how I would pick it. So there's no perfect, but there is optimal. Know your strengths and weaknesses and get somebody who's strong where you're weak. That's the easiest way I can put it. So if you are a stereotypical INFP and you can't stay focused on something for more than 5 minutes, get someone who can stay laser focused. That's what I was talking about with Sam in our Social Media Ninja Academy. Is so many people come in and they've got all this energy and enthusiasm, but they have no focus. It's like they don't know how to channel it into something that's going to make people want to be a part of what they're talking about. They're all over the place, right? So you definitely, if you're a stereotypical INFP who struggles with focus, and I don't believe all INFPs do. I make these videos where I talk about these things, but it's general discussion. There are people who are exceptions to the rule, and all of us, regardless of our personality type, have exceptions to the rules about us. But know your weaknesses, and if you don't know them, figure them out. Ask somebody, do some soul searching, and then bring somebody in that's strong where you're weak. The accountant that I hire to do my books is strong in administrative accounting skills. Not my strength. That's why I bring somebody in who's amazing at it, because I am good enough at it to keep my business running and know what our numbers are and blah, blah, blah. But I'm not nitpicking like, hey man, your Schedule C was off by $14. I'm like, and that happened to me this year. Like my Schedule C when I was doing my taxes was off because, I was probably doing 6 million other things, trying to take care of my dad, take care of my work, and blah, blah, blah. And next thing you know, my Schedule C's off. And he caught it immediately. As soon as I sent it to him, he's like, this is off, fix it. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't account for, I have people that I'm paying on retainer and blah. That's what I missed. So that's what I say is about that. Obscure Facade says, I go into social situations and merely observe. It's like TV. All right. Here we go. Maggie says INFPs can easily train themselves to be social and talk well because they tend to be so self-conscious. Yeah, I've known INFPs who are quite so. In fact, most of the YouTubers I work with, or a lot of them, are INFPs. And they're very social. Especially if they're comfortable. Pascal says ENTJs are said to be withdrawn extroverts. This is true when we are out of our element. If we are in charge of an organization, like we're at our best when we're in charge, because that's where we're most comfortable. We can set the vision for the company or the thing because we're good at it, and we're able to see through intuition, but also our sensing is very strong as well. It's right behind it. And you're right. When we get around people who don't share our values or our outlooks, totally subdued and withdrawn. Because especially for ENTJs who have a tendency to easily offend people, because we are so direct when we talk. There's no pretense when we talk. If something sucks, we say it sucks. And some people can't take that level of directness. Like you got to softball with some people, and we're not good at softballing. It's like, if your breath stinks, dog, and you're in my face, like Slim, can we get a mint up underneath your teeth? Please. Some people are going to take that and be offended. It's like, I'm trying to do you a favor so you don't go blow that hot wind on somebody else's face. But other people can take it as you're being aggressive or you're negative. Like, I can't tell you how many situations I've been in where people are like, you're so negative. I'm like, not negative, just honest. This thing actually does suck. Let's not be delusional about the fact that we're not good at this. Like, it's not being negative. This is an observation of the reality. But in their world, it's negativity. So when you're around those people, you're just like, I'm going to shut my mouth because this is not, because our heart is to improve and to make better and to contribute and to be a part. But when something is out of place or inefficient or not working well, that's where we come. That's when we're at our best, is fixing that. And when you're in a place where you can't, and people just like, you're so negative. I thought what we did was awesome. It wasn't. Like, and not because of my opinion. Look at the numbers. Look at the results we're getting. Look at the emails we're getting from clients. Like, so it's people who are a little bit more sensitive and need, like my wife, for example, does not take criticism well from me. Because other people are probably a little bit more gentle and can navigate the space to bring the criticism in a way we only know how to be straight. And it's not true. We learn how to communicate with other people, but yeah, we can totally be withdrawn when especially like me specifically, when I'm around people that I perceive as very sensitive to a lot of things, and I'm sensitive to almost nothing. It's like I'm just like people. There's probably some people that think I'm an introvert because I'm just not gonna talk. You know, like I'll hear people get on political soapboxes and just whine about this thing and that thing, and I'm just like, all right, time to. You know, that happens in my family a lot. Like my family will get into these political just uproars, and I typically will not engage because I'm so indifferent to it. Like I don't care at all. I think you're living in a world that's the result of not someone's individual political agenda. I think you're living in a world where we've let the system continue to be retarded and underdeveloped because we haven't demanded it to be better. And you don't just demand that through voting. You demand that by self-governance, and you make yourself so good that the system has to keep up with you. But we've wanted the system to take care of so much for us, and it's not designed to do that. So, again, that may not be right. It's just the way I see it, but I typically don't share that opinion because it's not popular. And like politics, for example, is a very emotional thing for most people. For me, it's not. Like I look at it from my perspective very objectively. Like I think very much of it is ineffective, certainly inefficient, and people can defend it. And I'm just like, that's cool. I don't agree, but that's the beauty of being a human. So yeah, we can totally be withdrawn when we perceive that what we may, if we're self-aware. Some ENTJs are not self-aware, and they're like a bull in a china shop, and I can be that sometimes too. But that's usually when I don't care. It's just like, I'm going to say this because it needs to be said. All right, Ingrid says, I do this all the time. Let's see. What do I receive on the mailing list is mostly on building a YouTube channel because of right now I'm not interested. So what do I receive on the mailing list? Is it mostly? No, it's not mostly building a YouTube channel. I will sometimes pepper in social media stuff, but typically I focus on life development stuff. Like sometimes I'll summarize my daily vlog or pick out some points and talk about that in the email. This past Wednesday, I sent out an email about the kid JD who beat brain cancer. Basically, it was JD beat brain cancer to start his YouTube channel. What's your excuse for not chasing your dream? You know, stuff like that. But I mean, honestly, if you don't want to be on the mailing list, you don't need to be. I think it's fine. If you think there may be some value in me communicating with you in that space, that's fine. But no pressure. I certainly don't want people to join if they don't think they're going to get something that you deem valuable out of it. Let's see, Mags. So Sam Hunter says, sounds great, Raven. I believe I'll sign up for the white belt. So here's the deal, Sam. Here's what I'm going to do for you, brother. Right here on the spot. If you do that and you take my advice, and my advice is the gold belt, the VIP is, and if you join, you will see the VIP page, because the VIP sign-up page is hidden. It only becomes available once someone has joined the program. Here is what I will do for you, because I believe the VIP is the most valuable part of the program, and I believe in, whoa, what is that flying in my office, dog? What kind of bug is that? I'm not scared of bugs, G, but you can't just fly up on me. Is that a beetle? Beetles don't fly, do they? Oh, you got to go, son. Sorry. You shouldn't have flown around my disc. Sorry, everybody. Here's what we'll do for Sam Hunter. You do the white belt. If you do the VIP program, which I highly recommend, just keep in mind there's a monthly fee associated with it. Tonight and tonight only, one, if you do it tonight and don't drag your feet, you will get it for half of the price that it's going to cost before I go to sleep. And I will reserve that space for you tonight if you tell me that's what you want to do, and I'll refund you what you pay for the white belt. And I'm doing that because that is how much I believe in the entire program, but it's also how much I believe in the VIP program. That once you get in there, you won't want to leave, and you certainly, if you're interested, want to get in it before the price almost doubles. All right, so just an offer, no pressure. I just want to give you an opportunity. Let's see. Jocelyn says Bryant is live. Hey, Jocelyn made it. What's up? Uh-oh, somebody called Juliana babe. I don't. That's not going to end well. Like, for example, John, I sent out the email I sent out today, other than reminding people I was doing a live call tonight, was I actually sent out a GameStop. GameStop's having this crazy sale, so I sent out an email that said, you know, when I first got into reviewing games as a reviewer way before YouTube, I didn't get anything free from anybody because nobody knew me. He said, nowadays I can pretty much email certain publishers. Some of them are still stubborn and just hard to deal with. But a lot of publishers like Square Enix and Activision have always worked with me. And or almost always. Sometimes Square Enix can't. But the bottom line was, back in the day when I couldn't get free stuff, what I did was called arbitrage, which is I'd go buy stuff when it was underpriced and sell stuff that was overpriced and basically game the system. And I said one of the best ways to do that is at GameStop, when they have a crazy sale or they offer you double the value for trade-ins. I used to do that all the time. Like, there was a 2-year span where I didn't pay for any of my video games because I had traded in a bunch of like GameStop used to trade DVDs too. So I brought in a whole just Tupperware huge 70 pounds of all these DVDs, and GameStop was like, dude, you can't possibly want to trade all this in. I said, yep, all of it. It's like, it's a good thing you came today because we're stopping taking DVDs next week. And so I made so much money on that deal, plus the extra trade-in value, that I didn't pay for another game. Like, all the games I got that year were free. You know, nowadays I can get usually free games from publishers because I have contacts there and I've made friends at those companies. But, you know, so I sent out the sale. I was like, GameStop is having one of those sales, and like, even and I meant this, it wasn't a joke, even though I laughed on the email. I said, I'm even considering going and getting Mass Effect Andromeda tomorrow because it's only $20. And even though I've heard the game sucks, I still kind of want to play it. So it was just me sending a thank you out to the mailing list that says, look, if you're a gamer, here's a deal that you may not be aware of and you don't want to miss. So in one vein, I'll do something like that. In another vein, I'll talk about, you know, why we shouldn't be complaining. We should be grateful and show gratitude. And if we're complaining about something, make the necessary changes in our lives to get what we want instead of fussing about what we don't have. Okay. Sam says, thanks, Bryant. No sweat. And so the way it'll work, Sam, is if you go through the whole process, once it's done, I'll get messages on my phone that it happened, and then I will issue the refund from my phone for the white belt. Just be advised, it's going to take 3 days or so for your bank to get it, because that's the way the internet works, apparently. Like, your bank isn't just going to get the money back right away. When I issue the refund, it takes about 3 days for your bank to actually get the money. And if it doesn't, all you do is email me. Once you join, you'll have access to my email address. You just shoot me an email and say, hey, I didn't get it, blah, blah, blah. I'll be able to check with the credit card processing company to ask them, Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, friends. Raymond says, not literally into our home, unfortunately, but virtually. Is that a response to a question? Did somebody ask, am I literally coming into people's houses? And I just had deja vu for some reason. You ever had deja vu? I am Peter Cole says, hey, BC, finally got the chance to catch another live stream, and we are happy to have you. Peter Cole. Obscure Facade says, focus, what focus? Jocelyn Ayala says, "Hey Bryant, what do you think about a 15-year-old entering a romantic relationship with a 29-year-old man? Do not. Absolutely freaking not. Without, like, I'm already, and you guys are going to start hearing more about this after I figure out how to explain it. I'm already not big on dating because I think by and large it's a waste of time. I am into building friendships that eventually lead to, for grown-ups, not 15-year-olds, that eventually can potentially lead to something beyond just a friendship, because I will preach and preach until I'm blue in the face that the best relationships, the foundation of them, are friendships, not romantic. Abso-freaking-lutely not. Should a 15-year-old be dating a 30-year-old dude? There's no situation. I mean, unless this was like Jesus' time where people died at 30, and the whole culture was focused on having children and getting married, not dating. And so here's the deal. Nobody should just be entering into, this is my philosophy. People can shoot holes in it if they want to. I'll just continue to hold up my Super Bowl ring of a happy marriage as evidence. But people should not just be entering into romantic relationships. And we've got to stop making the distinction between friendship and romance. They're not these two separate things that exist in separate universes. Romance can be built out of a good friendship. And what most people have been taught, because of the media and Hollywood not knowing what in the frack they're talking about, with all their stupid romantic comedy movies where people fall in love in 35 minutes or less. It's all nonsense. First of all, there's no such thing as falling in love. Let's go ahead and address that. Let's go ahead and address that elephant in the room. No such freaking thing as falling in love with somebody. I think it's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I'm not saying people that say that are stupid. I just think it's unfounded. Love is not something you fall into. It's a thing that you choose to do, which is showing someone the proper dignity and respect and compassion. So romantic relationships are not just something you kick off because somebody's cute. That's never going to work. And so in the book on killing, for example, this is off the wall, but Colonel Grossman talks about one of the strange things you'll see with soldiers oftentimes is that they often are closer to each other than they are even with their own wife and kids. Why? Because as friends in battle, they've been through stuff together. And going through stuff together is the glue that bonds a friendship together. Having a friend that has your back when you are down is the foundation of a good friendship, or even when you're up, right? And so you build upon that foundation of unconditional love, not romantic love and the kissy stuff, but real love. Like, I have no issue telling the men that I worked with in those combat environments that I love them. Okay? Leadership in its purest form is love. Sun Tzu agrees with that. All right? And he's written probably one of the most prolific books on leadership in the world. So this entering into a romantic relationship is something that I don't think people understand. You've got to lay the foundation of a relationship, period, a friendship, and then from that can grow the different parts of it, the romance and the other parts that grow out from friendship. But at 15, you just simply, and I understand that there's 15-year-olds who've seen a lot. Trust me, by 15, I saw things that 15-year-olds should never have been. 15, I saw things by the time I was 15 that 15-year-olds shouldn't even know exists. Okay, so I get it. Maybe this 15-year-old, or if it's you or whomever, might be mature. No. At 15, you don't know enough about Earth to start thinking about romance. All right? So, no, absolutely not. And I'm usually very careful about being black and white in my talking, but there's no situation where someone's going to come to me with a scenario where I'm going to say it's a good idea for a 29-year-old. First of all, why is a 29-year-old trying to hook up with a 15-year-old? The only explanation for that is that this person is either dirty or they're violently insecure. I mean, 30-year-olds don't hang out with 15-year-olds unless they're family. You know what I mean? Like, Why would you do that? As a 30-year-old, that means I have 15 years more experience on earth than a 15-year-old. There's things that a 15-year-old is just not going to be exposed to. We can't even have a legitimate conversation because our worlds are not even close to one another. How do you build a relationship off of not having things in common? Other than you may like the same foods or the same color or have the same political views, but you've experienced life. They've experienced twice the amount of life as the 15-year-old. So no. And the 15-year-old is underage. Absolutely not. All right. So. Yeah, and so if a 15-year-old is being pursued by a 29-year-old, just call the police. I'm sorry. Whoever that dude is, there's an issue there for a 30-year-old cat to be chasing a 15-year-old child. And I'm sorry, I'm not trying to belittle anyone by saying child, but at 15, unless you're unless you're Doogie Howser and you're a doctor somewhere living on your own and you fought a war and you've been through some of life as an adult, 15 is still like my mom still calls me a child and I got kids. You know what I mean? So it's no way. No way. Okay. So breath kicking like Bruce Lee. Sam. B has said he is putting the price. Okay, so she got that. Pascal. That's how to spot ENTJs. Quite quiet, intense person with a hint of impatience. That sounds about right. Maggie Mosby says, BC, how do you help people such as you are and put out videos, etc., when you are a perfectionist INFJ? Okay, so we need to understand the root of your perfectionism. Usually perfectionism is rooted in pride and fear. And perfectionism is a very polite way to say, I'm scared to put things out because I don't want to receive criticism, or I am prideful and I believe that everything I put out should be gold and everybody should think it's gold, and I'm not going to put it out until it's that. So the remedy for that is to realize that very little of what you're going to put out is going to be as awesome as you're envisioning it in your mind. And number two, your audience gets to decide if it's awesome or not us as the creators. And the fear of rejection is, everybody deals with that. I think for whatever reason, INFJs struggle with that a little bit harder. You have to decide, is your willingness to progress and get better and accomplish this dream worth taking on some criticism? I have another video that'll come out hopefully in the next couple weeks about, I think I just uploaded it a couple days ago, about the only people who don't get criticized are the people who don't ever do anything. And so I've been saying for a while that there's no such thing as a perfectionist. There's just people who are afraid to be criticized, or they're prideful and they think that everything they put out should be their best work, and in the hopes that everyone else will think it's their best work. And I've said it many times here that there are things that I put out that I thought were amazing that nobody cared about. And by the way, like quality-wise, they were really, really good. I spent a lot of time getting them what I would call perfect, and nobody cared. And then a video that I threw together, in my old house in front of my bookshelf with bad lighting, gets almost 2 million views. So your audience, the market is really the judge of what perfect is. There is no such thing as perfect. In the military, we would tell you that good enough is perfect. So speed and volume are your friends. And I would just, how would I get over it? I'd start putting out content purposefully and be uncomfortable. Success is about putting yourself into uncomfortable situations. Just start putting out content. Stop trying to make it perfect. In fact, there are things. I'm getting ready to release a video that has a flaw. The funny thing is, like, the videos I put out that have flaws in them, people will leave me comments saying, dude, but I'm like, and they think that I'm not aware. I'm totally aware. Like, I'm totally aware. By the way, everybody, the video I shot the other week where I was upside down, please understand that I was fully aware when that got uploaded that I was upside down. Why did I put that out? Because a little part of my brain says, if people are willing to watch me upside down, then they really are here for the content and not the aesthetic or the superficiality. Like, they're here just to hear what I have to say. And if they're willing to watch a video where I'm facing them upside down, it'll be interesting to see how well this video does compared to my other ones. I was totally aware when that got uploaded that it was upside down. You know, I was totally aware that the video I had with my sweater on backwards got uploaded with my sweater on backwards. I wasn't reshooting that. I got kids, Jack. Nope. People are just, if anybody, like, one of my favorite things, in fact, the reason why I linked up with Ty Lopez, he did one thing specifically on a free call that he had that sold me on him. This dude was in the middle of his talk, and he busted out a salad and started eating it on camera during the seminar. And I said, this is my dude. And here's why. I knew why he was doing it. He was doing it purposefully to see who was going to freak out. And that tells him, these are the people I don't want to do business with, because they're so focused on crap that doesn't matter. They're literally going to be mad that I ate a salad. I never want to do business with you. I do stuff like that in my videos all the time, where I'll say certain things that I know people are going to have issues with. It's just not to get a rise out of them, but just to, I know it's going to pull out the people who I don't want to be around, and they're going to out themselves. And I'm like, cool, check. Never have to work with them. You know what I mean? So it's like, I have a video that's coming out on my old channel. I did a video that cut off, like, my phone just died in the middle of the battery didn't die, just the phone cut off. I uploaded it. I have another video where the video I shot today is going to come out, and it cuts off at a hilarious part of the video because I'm talking about shooting somebody. And the video just cuts off before you hear the end of the story. People are going to be like, wait a minute, what happened next? It's imperfect, and I'm putting it out. I'm not reshooting it, you know, because I had already made as long as I've made the point of the video, and now I'm just kind of elaborating, you know, like, if it had cut off when I was still making my point, I would have reshot it. But purposefully put out stuff that's imperfect so that you can get comfortable with it being imperfect. And here's the funny thing. The last time I shot that video when my phone died, it was the most popular video for the 3-month span. Like, it cut off in the middle of me getting ready to explain something. It was just like, bloop, dropped. That video got more views than anything else I did. So clearly, the content was more powerful than the presentation. And trust me, I've had people send me messages saying, I'm unsubscribing because the quality of the way your videos looks sucks. And I'm like, great, thank you. And if anyone else is here with you that thinks like that, take them with you. Because I don't want to be around people that, when you've been through, you know, my business partner and my friend Tony has this hilarious phrase that he uses to describe me to other people when they don't know how to take me, because I'm socially impatient, and I'm practically impatient a lot of times with people. I'm very patient with humanity, but I'm impatient with some of their behaviors. And he'll be like, the thing you have to understand about B is that he used to be in a place where people were paid to kill him. He's like, he was in a country where the whole country, there was a price on his head that the whole country was trying to collect. And so he's like, you have to understand why he's not going to be patient with this type of frivolous silliness. Because the world you live in, he's not even there. He's on another planet. Because he's faced death in the face, lived through it, and he's not going to come home and get into a conversation about how your day was ruined because Starbucks was closed. Grow up. You know, grow a pair. You know, like, please. So, you know, it's one of those things where people send me those messages, and I'm like, you got to be freaking kidding me. Like, yes, please unsubscribe. And like I said, if there's anyone else here that's with you that lives in your bubble where you can't listen to a guy talking because he's having a sinus issue, but what he's sharing with you is really good, thank you. Thank you for leaving, because those aren't the people you want around. Not because they're not good people, Not because they're even unintelligent. They're probably very intelligent people, but because they focus on things that don't matter. And that's not the game. If I'm going to reach 1 billion people and fundamentally change lives, it isn't going to be because I focused on the fact that my sweater was inside out. Like if my sweater being inside out is the difference between me changing lives and not, then yeah, I'll go reshoot the video. That's never going to be the issue though. So that's how you do it, milady. All right, now who's got next? Sam says, I'm going to reactivate my Facebook account. This is through No, it's not through Facebook. It's on. You can actually go to my website. You can go to BryantChambers.com or ClientsIncoming.com. The Academy is linked up on both sites. And you just click on the link for Academy, and it'll take you through it. So yeah, definitely not on the Facebook was for the people that I gave the free trial thing to. All right, Raven. There she goes. So Raven already answered that. All right, Sam says, okay, thanks. Pascal. Where are you? Maggie Mosby. So, Maggie Mosby says, so or NI and TI work together to think about the emotions while FE kind of covers the whole NI-TI thing and completes the psychic thing. We also have extensive knowledge of emotions and empathy. That's for sure. INFJs are awesome. Pascal says, so BC should needs be prioritized needs over wants when looking for a marriage partner? It depends. I mean, it's when you're looking, wants have to be a part of it too. But you know, how would you approach life? Like, you got to take care of the necessities before you worry about the things that are nice to have. But you don't neglect the things you want just because the necessities are important. And honestly, when it comes to marriage, I'm a have your cake and eat it too guy. That's my philosophy, is you can get what you need and what you want, and you don't need to settle. You just have to be willing to maybe spend some time on your search for the person that has those things. I was very specific about what I wanted in my wife. And for the most part, got all of them, or at least had a person who was willing to develop into the other things that I wanted that weren't there yet. And that's really what I would focus on there. Maggie Mosby says, it's really hard to explain. Let me find a better explanation. It's really difficult to explain. It just kind of happens. Okay, I think she's talking to someone else. So sometimes it's hard for me to tell if you guys are talking to me or someone else. All right. Dark Feathers says, hey man, just popping in to say what's up and how's it going? Dark Feathers, it's going outstanding. My friend, it's good to see you. I'm surrounded by good people with good questions. Hopefully I have not offended anybody with my crazy. Sweet. Okay, good. It looks like I made it to the end of the questions. Did I miss... All right, so I am at the end of the comments here. Did I miss anybody? Looks like John Hemzin came in, or Hemzin. Hello, John. All right. Cool. So what else do you guys want to talk about? Looks like I have pushed through all of the questions that I've seen. If I missed one of your questions, feel free to repost it. If I didn't, then start asking more questions, or I can talk about some of these books I read. Hopefully, Jocelyn, my answer was okay. I hope that you didn't feel that what I was saying was talking down to you, because that wasn't my intent. I'm just very passionate about people being able to be happy in the relationships that they have. And just want you to be very careful, especially as a younger person. Believe me, I understand. If the 15-year-old, I'm not sure if it was you or if you're asking for someone else, chances are it's very mature. I can relate. Had my childhood taken away from me in a couple of different ways. Not in like any of the horrific ways that you see in movies or anything like that. But yeah, I had to be grown up at a very young age. So even when I was in college, I attracted women who were older than me and stuff like that. So I get it, but the disparity there is just a bit too. It's just a bridge too far. Like my question isn't for the 15-year-old in that scenario, because obviously it's the 29-year-old that's clearly got some issues if they're looking for someone that far away from their age. That's also not legally an adult. That's the other big issue. So no to that. See, Pascal says, or Dark Feather says, been taking a few things I've learned from you in the past couple of years. Proud to say I launched my website with an online store. Sweet. What are you selling, brother? What are you selling? You need to come on Facebook and DM me the link so I can go check it out. Because I think if you try to post the link here, YouTube will shank it. But yeah, hit me up on Facebook, bro. BryantChambers page if you're not already following and hip. And send me a DM, man. I'd love to check out your site. Pascal says, my ENFJ predicted a comet and the comet showed up. Okay. It's a very interesting thing to predict. Maggie says, Bryant, what struggles do you face as an ENTJ? Do you ever feel rude and really straightforward? Yeah, all the time. So part of the social struggle depends on who I'm around. So I really, I mean, one of the reasons why I started my own business, honestly, one of the selfish reasons, was so that I can control who I'm around. Because what I figured out when I left the military was that the real world is very different. Especially the part of the military that I was in was even different from a lot of other parts of the military. And when you're in an elite group like that, and you're so focused on getting things done and survival, staying alive, keeping your brothers alive, and doing these high stakes things, the rest of the world doesn't necessarily have that experience. So a lot of my impatience, while it does come from my ENTJ-ness, it also comes from my life experience. Like, when I came into the real world, I was like, it was culture shock for me. And I was just around people that I'm like, what? So it was weird. When I left the military, it was as if the world turned upside down. So in the military, you've got douchebags just like you have in the real world, right? People who are annoying or condescending or just overly ridiculous, or like political type dudes who are always gaming to get their promotion. Like, those dudes existed, but they weren't the norm. And then I came into the real world, and that was kind of the norm in some regards, especially not so much in Fortune 500, because there it's just really competitive, and I can play in competitive space because it's about producing, and I can produce. But when I left that, some of the social circles I found myself in part of my career and then just socially was just people I couldn't relate to. So I find as an ENTJ, one of my hardest struggles with my ENTJ mixed with my life experience is finding people that I relate to. And when I find them, I latch on and we usually become very close friends. But more often than not, I find more people that I can't really relate to. And that doesn't mean that I hate them or think that they're whatever. It's just the outlook on life is so different that it's, and you worded it very well. Sometimes I feel rude when I'm around them because they'll be talking about something that I just couldn't care less about. And it's, whew, how do I engage? And there were times where even in social circles where people would be having a conversation. I remember one time I tried to engage in a conversation that I was around. And one of the girls who was talking looks at me and was like, we weren't trying to get that deep with this conversation. So no to whatever you're going to say next. And in my mind, I was thinking, okay, well, the conversation's kind of shallow. the way we're having it, and I don't know. And I remember one time I was in this group chat thing where one of the girls that was there was like, hey, we never see you in the group chat. And I just remember saying to her, I don't think I really have anything of value to add to the conversation. And she looked dumbfounded at me and she said, well, that's the point. It's not about having anything profound to say. It's just about talking. And I was just thinking, who talks when there's nothing to say? Who does that? Apparently everybody. And so I started figuring out that I am actually weird. And I'm actually very different. And my outlook, while it gives me a lot of strengths, it helps me be successful in a lot of ways, it also holds me back socially. So I'm usually not inclined to be highly, like I don't go to clubs or bars or like hangout spots, like let's go watch the game at Flubaroo's club. Like, no, let's just sit on the couch and watch it with my kids. Because no. I tend to stick very close to my family and to my very close friends just because it's too easy for me. And that's not to say that if I'm around people that I don't really connect with, I'm nice and I try to be polite and connect and try to understand them. I try to see the world from their perspective and just make the conversation all about them instead of worrying about what I'm thinking about. But at the end of the day, a lot of times I'm just not interested. So it makes it a little bit hard for me to be social in some cases. So I don't know if that was a good answer to your question, but that's the struggle. It's holding back your intuition, and especially when your intuition isn't just blind, like you have experience to back it up. It's just being patient while people come on the journey with you. Probably be one of my harder struggles. Ranger J, there's somebody I haven't seen in a minute, says, I'm an ISTP and have followed you for a while. If I'm not mistaken, roughly 5% have my personality type. Do you have any suggestions so that I can control whatever I launch myself at? So with that, let me do some digging here real quick. Some of this stuff I don't have memorized, so I have to look it up. Especially when it's personality types that I'm not often around. Okay, so let's see. Let's get back to YouTube if we can. Type in mind. ISTP. So as an ISTP, I'm not sure about the percentage there, but that's cool. Your cognitive functions are introverted thinking. Your primaries are introverted thinking and then extroverted sensing. So you're going to be naturally a very logical person. You're going to be a person who thinks very deeply when it comes to making decisions. Like your decisions are going to be based on logic, and they're going to often, I would imagine you're one of the people that has to chew on something before you make a call, before you make a decision, especially because you're a P, so you may not be quite as decisive as a J would be. So you need time to process information before you make decisions. And then the way information is coming into your mind is through extroverted sensing. So it's the world around you and your environment and how that's affecting you and your five senses and whatnot. So, I think, so the question was, how can you control whatever you launch yourself at? I'm not sure if I understand what you mean by that. There's very little on this planet that you can control except you. So I would just be aware of the fact that just base how you, just be, what's the word, adaptable. Like Darwin says, it's not the strongest or the smartest that survive, it's the most adaptable. So just be adaptable to your environment. Know that if you get around a person like me, depending on the situation, we're going to want decisions quickly. We're going to want resolution quickly. It may be something that you're not able to just off the top of your head, like, yeah, do it. Like you're going to want to think about it for a minute. Just be able to articulate that. Be able to talk about those types of things. And really, without more information, it's hard for me to give you any specific advice. If I was aware of what maybe you were wanting to do, I can give you some advice in that regard, but the same advice I'd give any personality type is be flexible, be adaptable as much as you can. And to the degree that you can't be adaptable, change your environment. Like the one thing you can control is where you are. So if you're in a place that just is oppressive to you, do whatever you have to do to get out of that place so that you can be in an environment that's conducive to the way that you operate. Ranger J follows up and says, also, I do the exact same thing regarding the conversations. I can't follow the purpose behind talking about something without value. Has killed many relationships for me. Of which as long as you're fine with it. And I know, so I'm old enough and have seen enough life to where I know I don't need to add a ton new friends to my fold. I've got a lot of them and just know that you're going to be around people who are just more surfacey. They don't like intimate or in-depth conversation. I don't like surface level or superficial conversation. I just don't. It's like people that call me on the phone, I just wanted to chat. No, I don't just chat. Like, what do you want to talk about? You know what I mean? So that can make it a little bit hard for you because a lot of people are a little bit more, especially early in a relationship. Some people aren't going to dive right into the deep. And we can, especially because you're an introverted thinker. It's very easy for you to do that. Knowing that, just use that to weed out the people in your life that don't need to be in your inner circle. You can't push everyone away from your life, but you can choose who is going to be in your inner space, people that share your values. And you can totally be, like, I'm around. So one of the things I often talk about is my entire family is feelers. I am the thinker in my family. The whole group is feelers. All of them. I think there might be one other thinker. So I often am adapting myself to the environment because I don't have the mental function that these folks have. Right? For my brother, for example, as an ISFJ, when he calls me, if he needs to do, and we've been going through this for 15 years, he'll call because he needs a favor. He'll be like, hey, man, what's happening, bro? Oh, everything's good. I'm like, dude, get to the point of what you called for. The chitty chat stuff, like, no. Just what do you want? Like, I love you. Let's go. He's like, oh, I want you to cut my hair. So why didn't you lead with that? Well, because I feel like it's rude. So the way his mind works is it would be rude just to call someone and be like, hey, B, yo, cut my hair today, son. All right, bet I'll be over in 15 minutes. But that's totally how my father was a thinker. He was the other thinker before he passed. Now I am the lone survivor of thinkers. So I'm often adapting myself to the expectations of my family. Not in a way where I have to change who I am or anything that dramatic, but I'm changing my behaviors so that it fits what makes them comfortable so that there can be harmony. Because one of the things I despise is a lack of harmony. I will be wrong if it brings peace to my household in many cases. Not all, but in many cases, I'll just be like, you know what? This isn't worth the debate. You got it. You win, I'm wrong. Even if I know I'm not wrong, you got it. Cool. Like my wife used to say years ago, she's like, are you just agreeing with me so you can go back to playing Xbox? Yep. That's exactly what's happening because I don't care. I really don't care about this discussion. So, yeah, just know yourself. Like everything comes down to self-awareness and intent, period. And if you know you, and like one of the things that was so beautiful about this book, for those of you just tuning in, weren't here for the beginning, is I think I have it highlighted here. Here we go. I'm actually going to do a video on this at a later date, but you guys are going to get the preview. Here we go. Consider yourself lightly. Consider the world deeply. So not only do we have to be self-aware, which I am very obviously adamant about, we have to know other people. And according to Musashi, the world's best swordsman, and according to Sun Tzu, we have to know our environment and other people even better than us. This is why, friends, not just because of this book, because I knew that before I read the book, but This is why I stress, don't just watch the personality type videos that are like people are always hitting me up, B, when are you going to do another personality type about me? I'm like, I don't know. Watch all the other ones. Stop just looking for your personality type, because it's only going to give you part of the picture. Your self-awareness being effective is contingent upon you understanding everybody else too, because just knowing yourself isn't going to help you if you don't know how to adjust yourself when you're in an environment where you're not around you. So that's why I'm so adamant. Like, watch all of the personality type videos. That's why I make them. I don't make INFP videos just for INFPs. Everybody else should be watching those too, so you can learn from the discussion, not just from me, because a lot of what I'm giving you is just stuff I'm reading and then interpreting. Right? It's not, and some of it, a good deal of it's also based on observation, because I'm around quite a few INFPs. But you should be watching all of it, because you got to know the world, because you have to know how to adapt yourself to the world to survive and win. That's, Sun Tzu says the general that knows his enemy and knows himself will never be endangered in 100 encounters. You got to know the world and other people too. Right? So, yeah, good stuff. John Bernard says, I'm totally weird as well, then, because I value intellectual conversations and dislike shallow conversations, and have been asked why I don't participate, and I respond, I don't have anything to say. Yeah. And so it's different personality types react to that differently. Some people just want to talk about the game. Like, what'd you think, man? Oh, yeah, Deshaun Jackson made a great catch. Cool. And I'm able to have surface level conversations too, if it's a topic that I'm interested in. But by and large, I won't sit around and talk about, I always joke about the Real Housewives of something. Like, I won't come around people and talk about something like that, because one, I don't watch it, but two, I don't care. All right, what else we got? See, John says, I don't feel the INFJ personality videos have related to me because I am not an overfeeler, if that makes sense. Okay. Doesn't exactly make sense. I don't think, I think INFJs, I've seen people in the comments say about how sensitive they are. In my experience, they're pretty tough people. The ones that I've come in contact with. They are certainly sensitive, but here's what everyone needs to understand. First of all, we're all emotional creatures. We all feel. It falls differently on the spectrum, but we're all sensitive too. People always talk about feelers are too sensitive. No, they're just sensitive to the things that you're not sensitive to. You know what I mean? Like, I hate when people say that, like, feelers are way too sensitive. No, they're not. You're sensitive too, because you're sensitive about feelers being sensitive. Otherwise, you wouldn't be annoyed by it. Right? So, should know. Okay. Hey, Sam, I missed your comment. What issue are you having online, buddy? Maybe I can help you out. Maggie says, BC INFJs are very emotional, but they can become INTJ or ENTJ if they are upset. Yeah. I mean, I'm close to a couple INFJs, so I have quite a bit of experience. Oh, okay. I got you, John. Cool. Okay, so I'm pressing the blue button to submit my payments, but nothing happens. Oh no, let's run over there real quick and help Sam out. Let's figure out why the blue button. So this is for the white belt, right, Sam? Let's jump over there. So if it's the blue button, it sounds like you're trying to do the blue belt. Okay. So Sam, are you trying? So just so I'm tracking, if you're hitting a blue button, that means you're trying to get the blue belt and not the white belt. Let me go step by step with you here, because it looks like everyone else is just having a conversation. So I don't mind doing some tech support while they're all talking amongst themselves and not asking me questions. Okay, so oh wow! After you enter all your card information, email, name. Okay, keep going, and let me know if that was the blue belt, because I want to make sure when I go into the system to so just so you know, if you are doing the blue belt, the refund for the white is going to be $47. So, and here's the deal. So if you go blue, I'll still refund the 47 for the white, and if you want to upgrade, I'll still treat it as if there was no refund, so that you still get the full discount before you go to the black belt. If that's what you're trying to do. If I'm wrong, then we can go from there. It's for white. Okay. Okay, so it's the blue button once you go to white. Okay, cool. I just wanted to make sure. You're hitting the button for payment, but nothing is happening. All right, let me go through the process. And let me make sure. So before you do anything else, let me go into the system and make sure it's not charging you 7 times. Although I probably would have got a message on my phone too. So it says 1. All right, so no, that was that. Okay, so yeah, nothing has come through on my end, so it's clearly not working. He's just doing what? Yeah, I got it. Yeah, no, you're good. Nothing. And by the way, if it did charge you 8 times, don't sweat it. I think the system would catch that. I think it's smart enough to realize, don't charge this guy 8 times. But if it didn't, I would just refund you the ones. It's not a big deal. Although you'd be out of that money for a couple of days, so hopefully you got some stashed away. But like I said, it from the system I'm looking at here, it did not charge you. All right, so entered that, and it didn't work. So let me try something else real quick. Let's go to. All right, let's go to. All right, so that's not there. All right. Let us go into the back end and find out if there be dragons. So you went to the white belt. So it took him to the order form. Let's pull that up. I'm not seeing anything that would be causing the issue. Let's go to the products. No, products are good. On phone and desktop, it was acting up. That good sir says, what motivates me most in life is challenging myself with difficult tasks to prove I can do them. Do you think this is healthy? Yeah, 100%. It's totally healthy. I mean, assuming that the difficult tasks aren't wrestling as bear. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I think challenging yourself to become stronger is always a good thing. So yeah, Sam, I don't have a good answer for why that is the issue. Sam, let me make life easy for you, brother. Let's see if this works, and then you can bypass the system altogether. Go straight to the VIP. So remind me, were you planning on doing the VIP deal thing? Let me know that before I do this, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you a direct link to the VIP program. And then I will manually add all your permissions so that you can see the white belt and whatnot. So that good sir says, I think sometimes I get burnt out on tasks that seem mundane to me, such as jobs. Totally, dog. Been there. Sometimes still there. Even in my business, there's certain things that I'm like, oh man, I gotta do freaking budget reconciliation today. Yep, I did jack up my... Okay, so Sam says, I click join now. Make sure the blue dot marking the belt preference is highlighted. Have highlighted belt preference. Yeah, so and that does that automatically. And it should show you a price on the right hand side. Okay. So yeah, Sam, if you're planning to do the VIP stuff, let me know. I'm gonna give you a link directly to the VIP. You can just join there, and then I will then, once you've done that, I will then send you a separate link privately to where you can create your account. And then once your account is created, I can just add, VIP is separate. VIP has a monthly fee associated with it. That's why I was saying, if you join the VIP program, I'd be willing to, because we're about to raise the price. Right now it's $25.95. The price is about to go up to $47 a month. If you wanted to get into that, it's a monthly fee, but I would, because I believe in it so much, I would refund what you spend in the white belt. But this way, I wouldn't even have to do the refund. I would just let you go directly into it, and I would add the white belt manually to your account without you ever having to spend the money, except you'd be signed up for the VIP program. So it's totally up to you. Let me know what you want to do. If you don't want to do that, that's cool. What I'd say is I don't see anything wrong on the website on my end. I will hold you a slot at the current price, and I would just try it again tomorrow morning. They may be doing some system maintenance with our team in the system there that I'm not tracking. That happens, and the system gets wonky sometimes, so it may just be acting up temporarily. And then that'll also give me time just to double check to make sure there's nothing wrong. And what I'll do is, if we can't square that away tonight, I can but seriously, the VIP is a freaking steal. So he says, I can do 25 per month. Is it for a year? No, there is no contract. You join and you get access to, so basically you get access to the VIP content for as long as you stay a member. You can cancel it. You can join tonight and quit tomorrow. I'm teaching you how to game the system. If you wanted to do kind of a shady thing, you could join tonight, quit tomorrow, and still have access to it for a month. I would still honor that. That's how much I believe the program is dope, that I know nobody will want to leave once they get in there. We had a couple people quit early when I first started it, and then now I know they're kicking themselves because we ramped it way up. Like, we started doing channel reviews. That was my Christmas gift to all the VIPs. At Christmas, I also upgraded all their accounts. So if they were blue belts, they became black belts for free. Okay. Sam says, sign me up. So yeah, it's a monthly thing. You can quit whenever you want. Here is the backdoor link to go straight to VIP. Let me know if that works. In fact, if you do it, I'll see it because I'll get a message here on my phone. And then once you do, I should have access to your email. Make sure, well, no, because when you do the VIP thing, I don't remember if the VIP asks you for your email. It should. Let me check it. Let's join now. Yes, so I'll get your email, and then I'll be able to send you a message that says, here is the backdoor link to go create your account for free. So then you'll never even have to buy the white belt if you do it this way. You'll just have it. And I'll add your access to the white belt for free. Sweet. Sam says, I wouldn't do that. I want to really work on these things. Of course, yeah, I know you won't. It's funny because we live in a world where most people are afraid of stuff like that. It never happens, man. I've never had anybody game. Well, I've had people game the system, but it's because I created the game to work that way. Because this dude emailed me. It was Harvey, and he was like, so you mean to tell me if I do this Patreon thing, I can get half price and then just quit Patreon? I was like, technically. That's how I set it up. Good eye, good paying attention. And he was like, well, then that's what I'm doing. He's like, it was kind of like, I think he was reluctant because he felt like it was gaming the system. I said, no, I set it up. I've set up all kinds of ways for people to get deals because I just believe in that, man. I believe in helping people out. So, cool. All right, so I think we have Sam squared away, hopefully. We will see here in a minute if indeed we do. And we can go back to questions. Actually, I just heard my wife come in, so I'm probably going to be shutting down here in a second. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do last call for questions. I think I've run my mouth. This bug is still alive. Dude, you got to go. Serious, Slim. You don't belong in this house. Go back to the trees or you'd be dead. Sorry. I'm not yelling at y'all. I'm yelling at the bug that attacked me on the floor here. So yeah, wife is home. I gotta go get some hugs and some kisses. So last call for questions. And I'll stick on, Sam, I'll stick around to make sure you're squared away, my brother. And then we'll go from there. Ranger J says, hey B, the following quote is from Human Metrics for ISTPs. Unlike most ESPs, they lie dormant, saving their energy until a worthy project comes along. And then they launch themselves at it. Word up. And do you feel that applies to you? Maggie Mosby says, BC, can you answer my question about the types you understand the best? Didn't see the question, repost it. Yeah, so if I don't answer one of you guys' questions, it's totally because I didn't see it. So feel free. It's not spamming. None of my moderators are going to shank you for posting stuff twice. They know that I miss stuff because the YouTube feed stinks. It just does. So Raven says, what are the MBTIs you know the best? So obviously ENTJ, ENFJ, INFP, and INFJ probably. Let's say those are the ones I spend the most time either dealing with or talking to. Have quite a few ENFJs in my family. ISTJ I know pretty well too. Been around a lot of ISTJs. And I've been around great ones, and I've been around ones that weren't so. But I mean, there's good and great. There's great and not great in every personality type. So yeah, I'd say ENTJ, INFP, ENFJ, because that's my wife and my cousin. I spend a lot of time with them. INFJs, ISTJs, and then whatever the other one I mentioned was. ENTPs I know a decent amount about, because we're close. INTJs I know a little bit about because we're kind of mirrors for each other. INTP, that's one of the ones I usually have to look up to remember the cognitive functions. I don't have that one memorized. But by and large, when it comes to just the surface level, if we're not talking cognitive functions, I have a good feeling for all the personality types. Like I can generally sit with someone and make a good read and get pretty close to their personality type just from listening to them talk about themselves. Usually I can pick up, okay, this person's totally an ESTJ. You know, they're talking about being an executive of a company. It's like, okay, that's all ESTJ stuff. Cool. Yeah. Ranger J says, I have things I want to launch myself at, but I cannot kick myself into gear for that specific want. Therein lies my issue. I guess I don't know how to light the fuse. This really applies to me. Sweet, you need to get in one of our programs, homeboy. We light fuses all day long. Sam says, it's saying missing purchase. It did register my clip once I entered everything and pressed it. Missing purchase. Let me check the system. This thing is being ridiculous. Because if it comes down to this, I'm just going to make your account for you and just be like, here. I don't know what's going on with the system tonight. Yeah, it still didn't come through on my end. Missing purchase. Oh, Sam, my bad, dude. That's on me. Sorry. I sent you the wrong link, brother. I got to get my act together. Good catch. Good catch. Here we go. I'm going to go into the blah, blah, blah. There we go. This should be good to go. All right. Here we go. This should do it. All right. So, Sam, one more time. Sorry about that. Try that one, brother. Okay. Whoa, a bunch of stuff just came in. Austin Presley says, do you feel like passion is a big part of that? I'm not sure if that was directed at me or at Jay. Obscure Facade BC, do you follow the Enneagram system at all? Yes, I will start doing Enneagram videos hopefully soon. Let's see. Maggie says, what types do you struggle to get along with as an ENTJ? Do you get along with F types as well? Does ENFP? No. So my issues with people very rarely comes down to personality types. It comes down to their personal dispositions. I can get along with any personality type if the person is respectful, and because I can adjust to anybody's particular disposition. What I can't get with is people that are just shatty people. And that's not a... Okay, Sam, got you, brother. Received. When we're done here tonight, I will... I just saw it come on the phone. When we're done here tonight, I'll shoot you an email with a link to actually do your sign up. That'll get you signed up. Then once that happens, shoot me an email back, because I won't get a message when you do that. And I will go in and manually set up your account so you can see everything. You'll automatically be able to see the VIP stuff, but I'll have to set it up so that you can see the white belt. All right, cool, man. Excited to have you on board, bro. I'll also send you, because I think the way you signed up, you probably didn't get the email about the private Facebook group. I will send you that as well. And because we do a lot of stuff in the Facebook group too, where we work together. And now that you're a VIP, we also have a separate private Facebook group just for VIPs, and our friend Raven is running a mastermind with VIPs. So that's where you can ask questions. Like Raven, I know, just started her own blog. You can start asking questions from other people in the group, which is going to be insanely helpful, because you're going to get more perspective than just mine and the books that I read and the people that coach me. So welcome. I'm extremely excited to start working with you. I hope other people will follow in your footsteps, because I believe it really is a very valuable program. Now then, about going back to getting along with personality types. Me getting along with a person is rarely ever tied to their personality type. What it's tied to is maturity level. It's tied to how adaptable they are, and how do they get along with people. I'm a very easy person to get along with, unless you are a couple of things. Like if you're what in the Army we used to call a spotlight ranger, which is a person who's always trying to get shine at the expense of other people, not gonna like you. If you're kind of an ambitious political scheming type person, not gonna like you. If you are a person that gets offended at everything anybody ever says, not gonna like you. Because to me, that's just emotional immaturity, where everything somebody says has to be like, who are the 14 people that get offended about everything that we have to hear about it on the internet for 7 years? You know what I mean? Like, what are we so offended about? Like, people that are just easily offended, not gonna like you. And that's not personality driven. That's just humans. It's people that aren't emotionally or cognitively developed, regardless of, like, I've had people in personality types that I love to death. I've had people in personality types that I think are crazy. It's the pretty lady. How did it go? We're wrapping up. I'll be up there to talk to you in a minute.
It's okay. I'm so tired.
You don't want to talk to me?
I do, but I'm so exhausted.
You are really late. What time is the thing over? I'm talking to my wife.
It's a long story, but we got in a car accident that was caused by a DC police officer.
Are you okay?
Everybody's fine.
Was the car damaged? So you got hit. You got hit by a DC cop.
No, a DC cop ran the light, made a U-turn. I had to slam on my brakes.
And somebody
Did
hit
not
you?
Hit him, and somebody hit me.
Did he stick around to?
No, he slowed down. He looked back and took off. God
Wow.
is my witness. We had about 45 witnesses because it was.
So another cop showed up to the scene, and you had to tell that story to him.
There was a meter maid cop directing the traffic who saw it all. He was even looking like.
Was this during the daytime, or is this on the way
This
home?
was on the way home.
Jesus, help us. So my wife was in a car accident.
I'm good though. I'm so exhausted and my body hurts.
What time was the party actually over that you were catering?
Everything shut down at 10:30.
Oh, see, I didn't. What time did it start? Like,
6.
okay, it didn't start till 6. Okay.
Oh.
So I'll be done in a minute. Stay awake. I'll come talk to you. We're almost done.
I will try my very best. I'll be sitting right here.
Just sit and talk to Mom.
I'm trying.
All right. So I'm missing comments. I'll be up to talk to you, baby. Since you're okay, because if you were hurt, I would just end the show now. Yeah, Tamiko's okay, Raven. She's cool. She's just very tired. She had to cater an event with her business tonight. Whoa, the YouTube did the jump thing again. I hate that. Okay. All right. Jocelyn says, obscure hi again. Yes, me and Juliana are almost the same personality time. That explains quite a lot, I believe. And she will kill me if I get her personality type wrong. Cool. Sam says, thanks, Brian. Anytime, man. Thank you. Very excited to start working with you, brother. Can't wait to get you on a live call. Okay, Maggie says, okay, it's just everybody talking amongst themselves. Darius Zika says, what advice can you give to an INFP who struggles with shyness? I feel like I'm too withdrawn and quiet, and I feel like I'm missing opportunities to connect with people. Okay. Well, first, I did a video, I'm not sure if you're new around here, I'm not sure if you saw it, where I compared shyness, which is a social, it's a social condition. It's not a condition. It's tied to like social anxiety, which is different than being introverted. So I don't know that your personality type is necessarily driving your shyness. Shyness is usually a social discomfort, we'll say. So it may not necessarily be tied to your personality type because you may just be a shy person. There's extroverts who are shy as well. My advice, rather than just trying to attack your shyness, is you feel like you're missing out on opportunities to connect with people. Take some chances. So first is to recognize that shyness to a certain degree is natural for every human being, and to not let it overwhelm you, and just take some small steps and just be a little uncomfortable. There's nothing wrong with being a little uncomfortable, your heart rate going up a little bit because you're nervous. most human beings, if they're decent people, and most are, aren't just going to toss you by the wayside because you may be a little socially awkward, maybe. Just do your best to be kind and engage with people and put yourself out there in small steps. Like, you don't have to go do a speech tomorrow, but there may be a social event or something at your school, or like a small club where you could go and just, like, I know with my kids, they have a Minecraft club at school and they go and play Minecraft. Like, there may be a thing that you could do that helps you break the ice, and just like with anything in life, just small incremental steps. Like, don't try to conquer the world. Don't try to just not be shy, because your shyness could also be driven by some social anxiety or some asocial tendencies. There may be some other things there that maybe you even want to talk to a professional who can help you work through some of that, because I don't know your particular situation. Obviously, I can't speak to it. Plus, I'm not a professional psychiatrist or psychologist. So there's a couple different things you can think about. Maggie says, BC, you missed Pascal's question. He asked, how does one assert himself in social situations? What mentality do you need? I'm trying to figure out what that means. One asserts themselves by asserting themselves. You just execute. You know, what mentality? So Pascal, if I remember correctly, comes with these very deep, seemingly deep questions, but it really doesn't have substance underneath it. Is that, if I remember correctly? Yeah, Toastmasters is excellent place to go, because it's a warm environment where you do have to speak in front of people, but everyone's there trying to encourage you, even though you have to stand in front of them and talk. None of them are sitting there like, I'm going to show her or him. It's a loving environment where they encourage you. And like, even someone like me who loves talking in front of people, I feel really connected with the Toastmasters folks, because it's their desire to pull you in and make you a part of what's going on. So Pascal, reword the question. What are you trying to ask me? How do you be assertive by being assertive? It's not like a magic trick that I can give you. I mean, if you want to give me a specific example about an action you could have taken, I can help you there. But your question doesn't exactly make sense to me. What's up? Everybody's chatting. But yeah, that's a great recommendation from Sam. ENFP here. Reach out with my writing. Very personal place. No. So don't misunderstand me, Pascal. I'm not saying you lack substance. I'm saying you're using a lot of deep seeming language to ask what I think is a much more simple question than you're making it sound. But I can't fully understand your question because the language you're using doesn't, like, what mentality do you need to have to be assertive? Like, I don't even know what that means. Like, I'm not able to understand what you mean when you say that. So it seems like it's a deep, like, the simple question to me is, you want to be more assertive, I think. Like, but what does assertive even mean to you first? What are some situations where you weren't assertive and what happened? Like, that's general. If you want general advice, which I'm not typically always great at, just be assertive. You know, but I don't know the particular situation that you're in that you're trying to assert yourself. So I don't really know how to guide you. So no, I'm not saying that you lack substance, my friend. But the questions are very heavy when I don't think what you're asking is as complicated as I may be interpreting it, is what I was trying to say there. Well, and you're trying to learn how to not fear being assertive. You may always fear it. You just do it anyway. Like, that'd be like me asking, how do I go to war and not be scared during a firefight? The answer is you don't. You're going to be scared during a firefight. You do it anyway, because your life depends on you. What mentality do you need? Treat it as if treat you being assertive as if you didn't do it, your life depended on it. There you go. There it is. You know, most people are trying to. You don't need necessarily fear, but you are going to fear some. You're going to feel some level of angst. You know, before anything that's important to you is going to make you feel nervous before you do it. That's not fear. That's just the way your human body reacts to the situation because it's important to you. But you just do it anyway. You do it afraid. Hope that helps you out. Pascal says, okay, when I'm assertive, it is very uncomfortable. How can I kill the discomfort? By being assertive more often. You'll get used to it. It's just like lifting weights. If I took you in the gym with me and put you through one of my workouts, I don't want to make assumptions about you, but I'm going to assume it would hurt you pretty bad the first time you did it. But if you worked out with me for, like, I train with my boy Tony that I tell you guys about. I've been training with him for 4 years. He can get through the workouts with no problem. I beat him down the first couple times we did it, but now he's a freaking soldier because he's done it 100 times. Just do it, and every time you do it, it'll get easier. Ranger JB, maybe giving an example may help. Pascal, war leadership story possibly. Yeah, so I think you hit you're ahead of me there. That's good. Darius says, yes, I have a bit of social anxiety, but it's only in the beginning when I don't know the person. I just feel that I have nothing to say, and I'm afraid that I'll be boring and awkward. So here's what I want you to try this. Darius, if you have the courage, I want to give you something that I think will bless your life. The next time you find yourself in a social situation, say that. Say, hey guys, I wanted to join the conversation, but I feel it's a bit awkward because I don't know that I have anything really to say, and I feel like I might be a little boring. Just say that and watch how the people respond. Now, don't walk up to complete strangers that have no reason for you to talk to them. Like in a social situation where people are expecting you to talk, say that. Be honest and transparent. And I think you'll be amazed at how kind the people respond to that, because you're going to show a level of vulnerability, transparency, and honesty, and it's going to be more like everybody's wearing a mask and you're the one who's not. And so you're immediately going to break the ice, and now they're going to be drawn to you because they feel comfortable with you. Now, granted, if you do it and you're around shatty people, they may react poorly, but then you know those are people you never need to. Then you know you're around people that you never need to be around again. But I bet you money that if you do that suggestion, and it's going to take a little courage because that feels awkward to say, but watch how people respond. I think you'll be pleasantly surprised. Okay, like your life depended on it. Thanks. My bad for you. No, it's no bad, brother. Don't take my directness as me trying to criticize you, brother. You ask the questions the way you feel is right, and if I don't get it, I'll just get you to clarify. Right? So don't feel bad at all, man. I'm happy to answer your question. Jocelyn says, Bryant, you are a genius. No, I'm just smart enough to know that I'm dumb enough to need to be around smart people and read smart people's books. But thank you for the compliment. Okay, so we got Pascal squared away. Sweet. All right, last question. What do we got? Who's going to ask the last question before we close? All right, so it looks like we're good. I want to thank you all for joining us. Oh, Darius and Pascal, you are good people, and at the end of itself should give you some courage. I suffer from the same things as both of you guys. I know how you feel, believe me. Are we there yet? Jocelyn says, do you sing? If she's talking to me, yes. I sang. I don't do a whole lot of singing now. Every once in a while I'll do it in a video because I think it's funny. No questions for me, thanks, BC. It's always a pleasure to serve. Ranger J says, what's your favorite pastime? Oh, Jesus. What I'm doing here. Serving people, coaching people, raising leaders. That's probably my favorite thing to do. J Dove Creative says, awesome advice, Brian. Thank you, J Dove. And welcome. So yeah, I want to thank everybody for coming out. If you wanted to see the books, I read all 3 of these books today. The 5 Rings by Miyamoto Musashi. You are a badass at making money. It's a lot better book than the title would probably have you believe, and Total Recall by Arnold Schwarzenegger, which I will be coaching out of in our marketing program, in our marriage program, and in the 69 Pillars of Success, which I have yet to launch. More information coming about that program in the future. It's really just a program designed to let me do what I do best, and that's coaching people to be successful as leaders in whatever your field is. Your social media, your business, you're an entertainer, you're just a human being who wants to win. I'm at my best when I'm coaching people and coaching leaders who want to win. So more information on that coming soon. My videos will start to have a link to the mailing list you can join. It's all the same mailing list. So if you're on my mailing list already, don't worry about it. But there'll be a link there for newcomers where you can join the mailing list to be notified. Because I'm going to give, for the people on my mailing list, I'm thinking about giving out the first lesson for free. And it's about an hour long, so just buckle up. That's why I put these things in paid programs a lot of times, because nobody would sit through that. If every one of my videos on YouTube were this long, no one would watch it, and that's not a guess or my intuition. I've actually tested it. I did a whole year of live streaming on a previous channel and watched my channel do that, right? So that's why I do it a lot more sporadically now. But it is always a pleasure to serve you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm so glad that you came out to hang with me tonight. It means the world that you would invest your time in listening to me and the other people here. And I do mean that. I'm not just saying that to be pandering. I mean, it means the world to me that you thought enough of me. I mean, you could have been listening to Gary Vee tonight. You could have been listening to Ty Lopez or Grant Cardone or any of these other people, but you're here, right? And I thank you. That means the world to me. God bless every one of you. If you need something, get at me on Facebook. By the way, friends, family, Romans, countrymen, this has to happen. If you are not, I did this last time and nobody took me up on it. And I think it's because, I don't know why. It's because I just posted a link to my Facebook page. You need to be connected with me there, not just following, but sending me DMs, because a lot of the questions you have, if you send them to me, they become videos later where I can expound upon it. Usually I will send you a response before I make the video, just with some ideas, some things that you can work through. But then I make a video because I think there's other people who could benefit from the information. But it allows us to connect. I get a lot of ideas for content to make from interacting with you all there. And Facebook is really the end game. YouTube is cool. I think it's an awesome tool. But I think it's also limited in how it allows me to connect with people. I told you that my goal is to reach at least 1 billion people with a message that in some, if even in a small way, fundamentally changes their life for the better. YouTube certainly has a billion plus people on it, but I'm gonna have to go bigger than that if I really want to be able to connect with the world in a very personal way beyond just being the man behind the camera. All right, I want to be able to connect with people. So definitely get at me on Facebook. If you haven't already, if you have, stay cool. It's awesome. More videos will be coming out there. I eventually want to transition to doing my live streams on Facebook because I think Facebook is a better platform for it. I can talk with you in the comments there, and it doesn't delete all the stupid comments after the video is over like YouTube does. I don't know why on God's earth YouTube does that, but they do. And it is what it is. So anyway, like I said, it's been a pleasure. I love you guys very much. Remember that we, as always, are stronger than I. And I'll see you all tomorrow. Peace.